positivity and Christmas spirit.
I'm reading through the copy here. It says nothing about Dylan. How could he be left out? Why is Dylan not included? It should be go see Todd Lebo and Dylan.
Yeah, I'll go
Michaels
I'm gonna go
Johnny's.
I'm gonna go have a very, very hard conversation with Ted here in the break.
Yeah,
Dylan, I'm sorry,
reading through it.
and it will not happen again.
Now I'm actually searching for the word Dylan on just in case I've overlooked it a number of times. It happens.
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
It's okay. Trust me. On Josh's ratio of excitement and energy, Todd will be bringing 100% today. So that is why I probably am left off of all the.
If you bring 50, you're still getting 150%.
That's right, and that's tough to do. That's about 149% higher than George Pickens.
Yeah,
is.
that is. Think about how
Roughly.
much more effort you give on a day-to-day basis, Dylan, than George Pickens does.
I just don't want a Tank Dell situation. That's mainly the thing.
You would hate for Lebo to roll up on you.
Yep.
Look, I mean, cornhole can be a really tough sport from time to time.
Yes,
I mean, it's not a matter of if, but when you get injured playing cornhole.
That's right, especially the way that we do it around here.
Yeah. Dylan, you ever played cornhole with strangers before?
I'm afraid to answer, but no, I don't think I've played with strangers before, no.
I didn't know, just randomly people showing up at Johnny's Tavern to play a little cornhole with you.
I have not. No, this is our first giveaway of the cornhole set, I believe, if I'm not
so.
mistaken. So today could be their opportunity. Because Lebo says he takes, I almost got a cut there.
Oh,
he
really?
He takes on all challengers.
Oh, damn it, Dylan! Damn you and your filter.
I'm just imagining what the cuts would be like tomorrow if Dylan hadn't stopped himself. And that would have been a fun little 30 seconds or so. But that's going on today from 4 to 6. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us today. 913-912-4810 text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. We'll talk some Chiefs today. We'll talk some wide receivers today. We haven't talked nearly enough about it, so I do want to get into that conversation about wide receivers that has just been sitting there with so much meat on the bone that people just keep ignoring. I don't get it. We'll also get into LeBron v. Jordan and whether Pete Rose should actually be in the Hall of Fame, and is it okay to take steroids in sports? So we'll get into all of those things that nobody has discussed, really to the point that I think they could be exhausted. So we'll get into some of those things. K-State in action tonight against Wichita State. They are 5-point favorites in that game, and KU and Mizzou in action tomorrow night. And Bill Self warning the KU basketball players of focusing on Yale and not the Christmas break. I always wonder, like the day before the game before the Christmas break, and it's not a Mizzou Illinois, right? KU UConn, something like that. It's KU Yale. And Ken Pom has them as 15-point winners. We'll see what the spread is tomorrow. By the way, Ken Pom had K-State as a 5-point winner. And today, K-State listed as a 5-point favorite over Wichita State. So we'll see what the line is tomorrow. But, yeah, that is always something you got to guard against. And K-State's got a number, or KU's got a number of veterans, older guys, juniors, seniors, that it shouldn't be a problem. But they're also college kids that are getting ready to have, a couple days off. And when you start up with the fall camp and your midnight madness and you're doing the sprints and the running and conditioning to get into basketball shape, and you're playing the games and practicing and playing and practicing and playing in school and finals, and then it's like, hey, you got a couple of days off. Oh my God, I can't wait. It is like you're going to get a year off. It's that senioritis, right? Everybody does that when they're getting ready to have a little vacation time. So yeah, it's always something that teams have to worry about. But I think coaches acknowledging it. There's nothing wrong with that, and saying that focus on Yale, and then because your couple days off feel a lot better if you take care of business than if you lose that one and you're like, well, that sucks. What the hell, man? So KU in action tomorrow against Yale. Mizzou in action tomorrow against Illinois. Ken Pom has them as 10-point dogs in that particular game. So some fun stuff. Last night, UConn gets upset by the greatest shooting team in the history of college basketball, Seton Hall, that carried their momentum from knocking off Mizzou over the weekend to going and beating UConn. So there you go. What that tells me is that Mizzou and UConn would play to Well, I mean, 15 points, so that means Mizzou.
Mizzou only lost by
9
6.
points better.
Yeah,
9 points better than UConn. That's what I'm saying. Is if Mizzou and UConn played, they would win by 9.
and Dennis Gates is vindicated.
So-
It is impossible to beat a team that can shoot well. Which again, seeing that Seton Hall put up 75 points, I just don't know how you keep up with that.
I mean, it is a fool's errand.
Yeah.
Is what it is. It's just.
We need more pirate mascots while we're at it. It's I think it's an underutilized mascot. I feel like being a pirate is just really going to give you the upper hand.
Mike Leach agrees with you.
Yep.
And so with KU beating UConn by only 4, that tells me Mizzou would beat KU by 5.
Yeah.
Luckily,
that's right.
they don't play. That's the only thing we have to go on.
Hey, Jason, congratulations. You just reverse engineered the Big 12's original tiebreaker plan.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just what other way would you be able to figure out what the better team is?
There's no shot.
I mean, come on.
No
we
other
did this in college football for 100 years. What is wrong with this? Head-to-head should not matter at all. In fact, I'm just moving forward with Mizzou 5 points better than KU. That's what I'm going to go with. Indisputable is what that is. They did what they've already played. Oh, okay. Well,
That was like that.
Sure.
That was a long time ago. Those are two different teams. I mean, so much changes over the course of a college basketball season.
Here's the thing. KU was 9 points better than Missouri on December 9th.
Exactly.
What about December 20th? What would they be? Probably 9 or more. Okay, yeah, maybe, yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
That's why they play the
913-912-4810. Let's get into some college football. The coaches talked yesterday, the 3 local coaches with their signing day and their recruiting classes. And look, if you are specifically like a show for one of the schools, then yeah, no problem. Get in depth with some of the players specifically that you can talk about and break down and look at this offensive lineman or the edge player outside of sort of the top name guys that we have discussed when it's like, all right, KU's getting a guy who's the highest rated recruit in their out of high school in the history of the 20 plus years of online recruitniks that have been out there. And Mizzou lands Williams Winery that Eli Drinkwitz credits for the momentum in recruiting this year, and Winery commits before Mizzou even goes and wins 10 games before they started playing football this year. So he committed it without that success showing on the field. So talking about some specific players, that's fine, but for the most part, it's sort of like, hey, we love this class. Oh, we went out and got the guys we needed. I mean, everybody that we brought in, you know what these guys are? They're football players. That's what we went out and got. This guy's a football player. That guy's a football player. But every once in a while, you get a coach that says something. And I know they played the Chris Kleiman and Eli Drinkwitz quotes out there and clips and things like that. I want to hear Lance Leipold because this was really one of the more interesting things I had heard a coach say about their program. And with Lance Leipold going into year 3? And what he thought this football program would be, where it was heading, to get to back-to-back bowl games and, come off a year where you win, a game and you head into the next season and you hope that there's some momentum heading in, or 2 games. 1 game in conference, and you hope there's some momentum heading your way because you won 6 games the year before, and then boom, you get 8 wins, and now you follow that up with a recruiting class that's pretty damn good and a couple of players that are really good. He talked about a quarterback that he liked out of Michigan, but this I thought was interesting and fascinating, hearing Lance Leipold talk about the finding the footing for KU football, and a couple of things that he says in here. To me, I just sort of was taken aback hearing from Lance Leipold, and I definitely want to discuss some of the things that he said here. So here's Lance Leipold. He was asked yesterday in his press conference about the signing day and about where they are now heading into year 4, finishing up year 3 with a bowl game coming up, next Tuesday, and moving forward as a program, but finding the footing for this program and Lance Leipold as the head coach.
Let's face it, there's a lot about this conference that other than some of the guys that were here that first year, we went into this thing pretty blind, okay? We can say it now, okay? I mean, you got an idea, but you don't have the full idea week in and week out till you start playing everybody. Just like we had no idea what our facility deficit was until we pulled up to Iowa State, okay? You know, you think you know, but you don't know. And same thing goes with our personnel. And I think there are some things that have been modified in what we want to look at and take, I think, is the other part you may be alluding to that has evolved. And I think part of it is now with a little bit of success, it allows us to get in some conversations on guys that we never would have been able to with another 2-10 season.
So I think some people would hear the last part and be like, oh, yeah, you know, they're getting in on different players. We talked about the player that, you know, they got the Michigan and Ohio State, coming after at the last minute, making a bigger push. And, you know, Lance Leipold alluded to in his press conference that, you know, how they were recruiting kids. And he was like, well, we did it different than other people. I mean, we're doing it different than what is going. Essentially, he's saying, look, we don't have the war chest to just go and throw some money at different people. There's a story out here, like a lot of times, you know, we don't hear some of the numbers that are out there, right? There's a story out here of Kentucky football getting a player from the state of Tennessee, and there's a report of paying him $350,000 to switch his commitment, and he did. But, like, I think what Lance Leipold's talking about is, like, well, in a different clip of, like, you know, we don't really have that war chest to just go out and do those things. But what I found to be most interesting there, Josh, is when he said that, you know, we went into this thing pretty blind. We can talk about it and say it now, coming off of 3 years when you win 2 and then 6 and then 8, and the trajectory is heading in the right direction for this program. And it's like this team went from, you know, no sort of optimism or perspective view of what the future could be and no success in sight, it felt like. It was so far down the road, so far down the train tracks. But yet hiring Lance Leipold, and a couple of years later, all of a sudden there's an 8-win team, you know, playing in a bowl game after Christmas, right? But him talking about not only going into it blind, but the depth, the size, having the full picture. And when he said the facility deficit, until they went to Iowa State, which was October 2nd, and the 5th game of the season for Lance Leipold in the Big 12. October 2nd, the 5th game of his career at KU, when maybe he got the full picture of what and how daunting the task was going to be at KU. That, to me, is mind-blowing because, you know, Lance Leipold's been around a long time, and he has built winners. He has built programs. And I think it is, you know, to get in the mind of a head coach like Lance Leipold, who was successful at Buffalo, and I know that it was another hiring cycle in which he wasn't offered a job or a job maybe that he thought was worthy. Although my next point being, if there was a job that he didn't think worthy that would be a step up from Buffalo, I'm not sure who was reaching out to Lance Leipold. If, you know, on the same level as Buffalo, that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. You'd have to be in a Power 5 program, right, because of the success he's had. That KU would be the one that he would go, you know what, let's take that job. We're behind the 8 ball. All this recruiting has taken place. Spring football's already happened. You know, they're making these changes to an AD and a head coach, and we're going to come in and take over this program that has had no success in a long time, that has gone from coach to coach to coach to coach. You go to Kansas to get fired. You don't go to Kansas to then get a better job. You go to Kansas and get fired. You don't retire there or use it as a stepping stone. That's where you go and, you know, coach a few years and then get your buyout. Lance Leipold could not have been interested in that. I'm saying, well, let's take the check here. Let's cash out right now. Okay, let's go there a few years and let's cash out. Let's get this, you know, let's go and make 8 figures and have a lot of fun. But he takes the job, and he doesn't understand the full size of it. Tells me one of two things. Either he fully believed in the job potential of what this could be, or he was so convinced in a belief and an assurance in himself that he was ready to take the chance of a Power 5 program that would offer him a job so he can go and prove his merits and I'm taking the KU job because I believe I can turn that thing around. I did it in Wisconsin. I did it in Buffalo. And I'm going to do it at the next stage and the next level, even without knowing how tough the job was. And going to Iowa State, Josh, that to me is, it's not like they played Oklahoma the next week. Mm-hmm. They went to Oklahoma the next week. Didn't understand the facility deficit until we went to Iowa State. That to me is saying, well, that's supposed to be our peer in this conference. We're not going against Texas and Oklahoma in facilities, but we should be able to be on par with Iowa State. Good God, we have a deficit to overcome here. And not knowing all of those things, and yet still went and, winning 2 games that year and then 6 and then 8. To me, it almost adds to the level of success that Lance Leipold and the unlikely results over the last couple of years of someone taking over that program and then while they're there, finding out some of those things. We've seen coaches take a job and then back out. All right, I got a better idea here. I'm out. I'm not going to take this job. I'm not going to. You guys were calling the Hogs. I'm out. I can't do it. I cannot do that. I'm going to take the an NBA job. Nope. I'm going back to college. Can't do it. And Lance Leipold got there, got a cold splash of water, and said, "All right, let's work. Let's work." And a few years later, they're getting highest rated recruits in the school's history. They've won 8 games. And they got Jalen Daniels returning and a quarterback out of Michigan who they feel like plays a lot like Jalen Daniels. I think it's impressive, and I thought it was incredibly candid for Lance Leipold talking about that and then saying, well, we can talk about it now, but we went into this thing so blind. And that has to be such a high level of belief in yourself that, you know what, I'm going to take the job sight unseen to a point, and we're going to go and kick ass.
And I also think it is, as much as anything, reflective of how, I guess I'll use a term that I learned when the Royals decided it was time to start looking at places to move. KU had concrete cancer of the program. I mean, it's the type of thing that you say, hey, this is not renovation material. There is something foundationally broken here. And you knew it. I knew it. Lance Leipold knew it. And then Lance Leipold got up in there. And I really do think, I think you hit it on the head, why Iowa State is the needle mover. Because, no offense to our Iowa State friends, of those of whom come and take over Kansas City for the Big 12 tournament every year. Iowa State's got a great fan base, but it's Iowa State. And if you are trying to be the University of Kansas with everything that you've accomplished on the basketball side and a football team that has been, I was going to say competent, and honestly that's underselling it, but competent would have felt like 2 huge leaps before Lance Leipold got to town. You recalibrate your expectations. You look at Iowa State and say, no, they can't be outspending us, outbuilding us, out-facilitying us. That is a standard that we cannot let them beat us at. I'm sure Lance Leipold felt like he had a pretty clear view of how dire Kansas football was. I think it's crazy to imagine him having that realization, like you said, week 5, and going, actually, there is more work to be done here than even I knew after 4 weeks of football, of actually coaching this team, much less spring, much less everything from the moment of agreeing to be the next Kansas head coach, recruiting, being on campus and seeing the facilities you have there. Buffalo to Lawrence probably still felt like an upgrade, again, just in terms of facilities and everything, although I know Buffalo is a serious program, but you are hoping that your Big 12 school is going to clearly upgrade from that right away. But then realizing that you're lagging behind your peers in your conference, I can see that being a real wake-up moment, and it puts all of this entire arc for him into such a fascinating context of what was already a fascinating hiring process, success story, and now projecting where they go. I feel pretty smart because yesterday we were talking about this being kind of foundational for Kansas and continuing to prove this is not a one-year Band-Aid rebuild. Not that the way that they had recruited was leading down that path. We've seen that before with a lot of JUCO kids and transfers and all, but that this is establishing a new standard for Kansas football, and I think we have even more evidence that that's true now.
I love the way that you described it there. It made me think of, those renovation shows.
Yes.
And it's like, well, we're going to do this and this, but here's our budget. we don't know until we open the walls.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it's like he gets to Iowa State and looks at the facilities and goes, "Oh my God, we've got black mold."
Yep. Yep.
We were renovating the house and we were going to do this and this, and now we've opened up and now we see the depth of what this renovation is going to be like, what this rebuild or build, I should say, for this program is going to be like. And I should also point out that while it's probably a strong belief in himself or finally getting an opportunity for someone to believe in him, it could also be a full-on belief of Travis Goff that he was going to be as committed to the football program as Lance Leipold was committed to the football program, because Lance Leipold this is my life. And Travis Goff could easily go, "Yeah, cool. We got Bill Self over here in basketball, so if you guys can just do something to sort of pass the time till we get to, November and basketball and everything, that'd be great." Because, there have been ADs in the past that, may have viewed it that way, or there have been ADs in the past to where the basketball coach was like, "No, you're not going to take money from us and give it to the football program." But there had to be a belief also in Travis Goff that gets the job and then says, "What am I going to do? I'm going to go hire Lance Leipold. I'm going to go hire a program builder, and I got to sell him to come in and be behind everybody else right now in a program that has been behind everybody else for a while and in facilities. And oh, by the way, don't worry, we're going to invest. Here's our vision. I know you've got one. Here's ours. Let's team up and do this, and let's make Kansas more than just a basketball school and a football program that people, want to, every once in a while, like, "Hey, kids, let's go to the KU football game. They're going to lose by 30, but it'll be fun. We'll get out of the house. It's a nice Saturday in the fall." But now it's hell yeah, let's go to the KU football game because Oklahoma's in town and let's go win. Travis Goff, I don't know if anybody had a better first couple of weeks on the job being an AD than he did with the hire of Lance Leipold. You could have found somebody that, could have been a disaster and things like that. But they found clearly the right guy. And I thought that was just interesting from Lance Leipold. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to hear from Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice was on the Fubo Sports podcast with TJ Hushmanzada, TJ Hoshmazode Championship. TJ, who's your mama? Josh, reference?
Yeah, I know all of those. Those are formative for me. Those were baked into some of the first NFL podcasts I ever listened to. A lot of TJ Hushmadoosh.
Hoshmazode. We'll take a timeout. We'll hear from Rashee Rice. He weighs in on a few different topics that I thought were interesting. And George Pickens, and Mike Tomlin weighing in on George Pickens. We got all that. We'll talk with Matt Lane coming up at 11 o'clock. We'll hear from the Chiefs. Sports are Leisure today. More Zone on this Thursday edition. We'll be back right after this on Sports Radio 810 WHB. from a negative standpoint throughout the year, but there's also been a positive story that has come from that, and that is the play of Rashee Rice. Let's play the clip here. He was on the Fubo Sports podcast with TJ Houshmandzadeh, and Rashee Rice, who apparently, worked with Houshmandzadeh during the draft process and at the combine, and he talked a little bit about that, and they discussed, what are your goals? And he's like, well, after talking to you and you saying write these things down, I wrote down the goals, and his rookie year, he wants to be a 1,000-yard receiver and have 5 or more touchdowns. Well, that second one's checked off. 1,000 yards, he needs 82 yards per game the next 3 weeks to be a 1,000-yard receiver as a rookie. And he said, I set my sights really high. But Rashee Rice was asked about when it clicked for him, like as the season goes on, when it clicked for him, and the Chiefs finally viewed him as, a playmaker.
I mean, I knew they knew I was a playmaker, in Germany and stuff like that. But I think it really took off against the Raiders. I didn't really catch that game. I didn't catch a route past probably like 10 yards. And I had like 100-plus yards. I scored on a touchdown, shallow. That was the first time I got to show my speed. I'm running full speed with the ball in my hand. I didn't get caught from behind. Scored a touchdown. And then it was a game that we was down 14-0. So, for me to come out second half and just be explosive and really just not fold under the pressure that, we was already kind of in the losing situation. I feel like that's when they was like, all right, we got our guy. We kind of got a guy that, really loves football. He's really not going to let nothing, get to him and get between him and his game right now. So I kind of feel like that's when they took that step.
Which is interesting because, as you talked about, that Raiders game was put the ball in his hands, and he has 10 targets, 8 receptions, 107 yards, and a touchdown. The previous, the previous 8 games, so these last 4 games, he's had 38 targets. The 8 games before that Raiders game, he had 39 targets. He had 46 targets on the season before these last 4 weeks of having 38 targets. 10 targets, 9 targets, 10 targets, 9 targets. I'm not sure what changed for the Chiefs in getting him the ball. And I don't know, Josh, if that was the game plan against the Raiders, was to get Rashee Rice the ball underneath and easy, routes and just get him in space a little bit and let him do his thing, or if that developed through the game and then it didn't click for Rashee Rice. Maybe it clicked for the Chiefs in that game. I'm not sure. I'd love for them to go back and reporting 2 years from now of that Raiders game plan. Was it to get Rashee Rice the ball and target him 10 times, or did that develop after the first quarter and so on that it was like, hey, this is the guy who's making plays, let's do that, and now it is part of the game plan?
And I mean, however it was birthed, and again, I mean, a little tongue-in-cheek, like, oh, it's, not like we've talked about the effects of this a billion times this year, but even if it was just a matter of like, okay, well, we've tried options A, B, C, D, E, and F. Let's see what option G is here. We're going to run the offense through Rashee Rice in this game. Or like you said, was that not a pregame plan? Was that just something that happened in real time of realizing like, okay, well, we're adjusting on the fly, etc. But they had tried so much stuff through the first 10 games of the year, and that included some Rashee Rice, obviously, but beginning to make him the featured player that he was in that game. And it's interesting to hear him talk about, kind of feeling like he got to put everything on display there, including that speed and the little wide receiver love for himself. I didn't get caught from behind or anything. Just a little reminder, just so everybody knows, I'm actually fast. All of that coming to a head there, and then having the waterfall effect of these 4 games since then. I guess 4 games including that one, is such a tremendous difference with, I think, how the Chiefs have viewed Rashee Rice. I don't know if he convinced them in the Raiders game, if he'd been convincing him through the previous 9-10 games before that, or how the necessity of Rashee Rice came about. But having him pay off for it in that game and then to really feel like he's belonging, making plays, and hitting some of those markers is really cool.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between like, okay, this guy runs a 4.5 40, so is he going to be a burner down the field and Tyreek Hill? No. But is he going to, give a little stutter and then beat the linebacker to the edge and then sprint down the field? And, yeah, the 4.5 40 as opposed to the 4.4 40-yard dash might be a difference of, a round and getting drafted. But is it a difference of getting caught from behind as opposed to outrunning everybody? And he talked about, working through the draft process that he was working out with Tank Dell and Downs. And he was like, look, I'm working with speed guys. And, that's, people keep talking about my speed is holding me back. Well, I'm working out now with speed guys and things like that. But he was asked about the view of the wide receivers on the outside and what it's like in the locker room, the wide receiver room issues. And he was specifically asked about Kadarius Toney in dropping the ball, lining up off sides, how that affects guys in the locker room. What do you guys hear and do? Is there frustration with Kadarius Toney in the locker room and in that wide receiver room? And here's Rashee Rice, and I think there's some interesting things at the end when he talks about from a personal standpoint. But here he is weighing in on, his thoughts on hearing the outside noise about the issues in the wide receiver room.
I feel like just from us, hearing that we ain't got a good receiver room and stuff like that, it just kind of make it easier for us to lean on each other and not be, the people that's bringing each other down, because we already got that on the outside. So as long as our room is tight, then we're not really worried about it. We know that he knows that he should have made the catch, you know what I'm saying? And, we didn't lose the game. So when we get to practice, we're going to be heavy on, catching the ball with your eyes. Like even, I'm a rookie, but I got to start being a little more vocal. But just little stuff like I work every day, catching tennis balls so I can really, lock in on, catching with my eyes. But, some players probably don't really focus on, all the fundamentals because, everybody got talent. But obviously, it's talent and it's work ethic. Work ethic really keep you in the NFL. And I'm learning that early.
So that is an interesting comments from Rashee Rice. He knows he's got to catch the football. Okay. We won the game. Let's just get into practice. We need to work on catching with our eyes. I've got to start being more vocal, even though I'm a young guy. I've got to start being more vocal. What I do in practice is I'm sitting there catching tennis balls so I can focus on catching with my eyes and doing that after practice. And not everybody has that work ethic. And I found out to stay in the NFL, you got to have that work ethic. Practice or talent is there, but those that work like that are the ones that will stay in the NFL. I'm not trying to connect dots here. But when he says, well, he knows he should have caught it, we got to get to practice and work. I've got to be more vocal on working on catching with your eyes. Is he not vocal in saying, hey, KT, let's go work on these tennis balls to catch the ball with our eyes and stay after? And I've noticed that, the work ethic is how you stay in the NFL. Everybody's got talent, but how do you stay in the NFL? Work ethic. I mean, is that why Kadarius Toney or Rashee Rice has gone from a second rounder that, had some drop issues in college and had some drops earlier in the season, but, the guy has, a 90% catch rate over the last 4 weeks or something like that? And that's why he's improved to the point of getting 10 targets per game. And Toney's been a guy we've talked about the last couple of weeks and drop passes throughout the season and lining up off sides. I mean, it might be connecting the dots, but I found it to be interesting from Rashee Rice in saying, I got to be more vocal about, even though I'm a younger guy, we need to do some things to work on getting better at catching with our eyes. This is what I do. Not everybody has that work ethic.
This might be a Rorschach test a little bit, because what I heard there, and so maybe this is just kind of where I want to send my sarcastic eye roll. What I heard there is that Rashee Rice feels like he needs to become more vocal in that wide receiver room, implying that there is not a voice in that wide receiver room right now. And again, I think I've said this more strongly than I'll say it now because I'm in the Christmas spirit. But as far as I can tell, MVS doesn't want that. As far as I can tell, he does not seem to be a guy who's going to, preach accountability, lead a group behind him, say all the things you need to say both publicly and privately. It just sort of, to me, generally seems like he's cool being, the sort of support character, the little side weapon, whatever. But he's the veteran in the room. And then you have a wide receivers coach who's in his first year coaching wide receivers. We'll all find out together what the Chiefs think this offseason. If they make changes in their positional coaches, we'll know they weren't happy with it. If they don't, maybe it was all growing pains and Andy Reid still has faith in his staff the way it was constructed. But I hear Rashee Rice say, I got to be more vocal, and I am brought back to something I've thought about a lot this year, which is whose voice resonates in that wide receiver room. And right now, Rashee Rice is the most accomplished wide receiver in that room on this year's team by a healthy margin. So he's earned it now. And I certainly don't blame a rookie second-round pick for not feeling like he had earned the right to be the vocal leader of a position group 4 weeks into his career or whatever. But now down the stretch, he really should be.
It's just a matter of answering the question of why Rashee Rice has gone from a guy early in the season that was just sort of part of the game plan and get him the ball from time to time to he's the focal point now. He and Travis Kelce are the focal points of the passing game, and it's gone from, well, he's got to learn the routes. He threw up his first practice.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Is he out of shape? Is he throwing up? Does he really care about this? Andy Reid saying the guy's got to, get in better shape or whatever it was.
He was the work ethic guy in training camp.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the work ethic concern by a barf and a cardio program.
And he's gone from that to talking about how he's a quick learner, and he's gone from little details on the field in practice to be able to translate those to the game and working with Patrick Mahomes. And I don't think that's a coincidence. Yeah. I think, him early on learning the playbook, doing those different things, and now clearly he's talented. But as he said, there's a lot of guys that are talented. Why is it transitioning so quickly for Rashee Rice and not other guys? Another guy that was a first-round draft pick in Kadarius Toney. Obviously, Sky Moore, not the athleticism and the freakish nature that Rashee Rice has, and things like that. Look, the George Pickens stuff, I think, is a fascinating conversation, and I do want to, have that conversation as it relates to the Chiefs and his blocking efforts and things like that. Let's play this one real quick. I know we are late, but I wanted to get this clip in here as well because a lot of people have heard the George Pickens clip already. They've heard and seen the video and the backlash and the fallout from that. Here's Rashee Rice. He is not asked about George Pickens or anything like that. He is simply asked about cornerbacks that he faces in the NFL and guys that are good or whatever or skill set. Here he is weighing in, and I think he goes into a place that has probably endeared himself to the Chiefs at some point during the draft process that may have kept them away from drafting a guy like a George Pickens. Here's Rashee Rice simply weighing in on, cornerbacks he's facing and things like that early in his NFL career.
There's a lot of good guys. To me personally, I feel like if a guy's guarding me and he don't got size, then it's not a matchup just because I'm not worried about, somebody having speed, because when it comes to me being on the field and our running back got the ball, I'm giving you work because I'm blocking you. Now you worry about me coming to block you, and now I'm running the route. So it's like I can get in your head a lot of different ways, and I feel like that's why I feel like I'm a complete receiver. Like I feel like I got speed, I got hands, and when it comes to blocking, I'll get in there if I got to.
It's a nice thing to hear from a big wide receiver. I don't care if there's a speed cornerback because I'm going to give you the work when the running back's got the ball. And I'm going to come out there and block you. And the next time there's a route, you may think I'm coming to block you. And now I'm running my route. And I'm playing off of that. Really interesting. And it has nothing to do in his mind with what is the national conversation about George Pickens. But when Rashee Rice offers that up of, I'm going to block. And I'm going to give you that work. And I'm a complete receiver because I'm also going to, get in there and get dirty and block some of the guys down the field. And that is one of the things that the Chiefs absolutely covet in wide receivers is that willingness to do that. And Rashee Rice certainly is talking about wanting to do that. And I thought it was interesting. He went that route and simply talking about cornerbacks in the NFL of guys that he goes up against. If you don't have size, I got you. You got speed, I'm going to push you around. I'm going to use my body, which is great to hear. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour. Matt Lane will join us at 11 o'clock talking some more Chiefs. More Zone next. Kansas City Chiefs, what he thinks about this team moving forward. Raiders coming up on Christmas Day, the final 3 weeks of the season. The AFC picture, the Ravens are disrespected. You don't disrespect the Ravens. Making the 49ers the favorites at home against the Ravens. Disrespectful, if you ask the Ravens. We'll talk about that in the show as well. But Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, we'll hear from them coming up about an hour from now. Maybe Chris Jones. We'll find out who else will be at the podium. Todd Lebo working the locker room. We'll also get into the conversation around George Pickens, Mike Tomlin weighing in, Jaylen Warren weighing in as well. Blaine Gabbert talking about this Chiefs team and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 2020 and comparing those. Tons still to get into on this Thursday. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. We'll hear from the Chiefs coming up later on this hour. Right now, let's talk with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Check out his work at kcsn.substack.com. Matt, welcome into the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a couple weeks, but we have a week long following a Chiefs victory now, so that's been a nice change of pace for the past almost month now. So it's been a good week for me. How about you guys?
It's been good. It's been good. We're talking about a Chiefs win, which is always good. Not back-to-back losses, and certainly not 3 in a row like the Eagles are discussing right now. We've never talked about a 3-game losing streak with Patrick Mahomes at the quarterback, and 3 games to go. What'd you take away from the Chiefs win over the Patriots on Sunday?
I think the Chiefs are starting to figure some of it out on the offensive side of the ball. It doesn't look great all the time. There's still a lot of mistakes, but I think you have seen Patrick Mahomes stop playing. So I don't want to say timid, but stop playing in a way where he's just trying to minimize the mistakes. He's being a little bit more aggressive. He's challenging opposing defenses in a way that he did to start the year. And then given all the mistakes that the team was making and costing them games and opportunities, you understand why they dialed it back. The problem was I feel like the dialing back of the aggressiveness of Mahomes in this offense really set them even farther behind where they needed to be. So it's been nice since that Bills game, once they fell down 14-0, to see this offense get back to being a little bit more aggressive, trying to challenge the opposing defense in ways that we've grown accustomed to. Again, it doesn't always look great, but at least they're trying to, and I think that's going to be very important for this team going into the playoffs, is to have that kind of confidence and that kind of mentality rather than just trying to purposely play complementary football like it seemed like they were doing in the middle of the year.
Is there any – I love the phrase that you use at the KC Sports Network when you were talking about the film from the Bills game, and you said, Mahomes throwing with his chest. And I love that because it's a great description of sort of like that confidence of the, okay, here we go. And yes, the Chiefs down 14-0, and they outscore the Bills after that 17-6, but not enough because they end up losing that game. Why do you think the change there with Mahomes from what he was doing, and you talk about maybe even the offense stepping a little bit further back with Mahomes maybe being timid or maybe them game planning aggressiveness out because of just simply, hey, take the dump down, take what's there, let's get the offense moving. We can't overcome being behind the chains, so we got to get yards on almost every play just to set that up. Why the change? What do you think the change was in that one as to why we've seen – second quarter on since that Bills game from a difference in what you're seeing from Mahomes?
Yeah, it's so hard to know. There's not a specific thing I think I can point to, but if you go back and just kind of watch the Chiefs, I think it kind of started in the Jets game. And from that point on, it just looked like the offense was trying to not blow the games and let their defense win the games. And at that time, their defense was playing really good, so it worked. You saw success. They beat the Miami Dolphins, who are currently number 2 in the AFC, with this game plan. It's like it wasn't not working, but it seemed like as the year went on, it kind of became clear that the offense wasn't going to be functional this way. They don't have just the horses on the outside to break enough big plays. They don't have any way of putting up enough points when they are trying to play this complementary football style. So they had to kind of back off of that. And I think what happened in that Bills game is they're trying to do that. They are coming in. They're trying to play safe. They're trying not to make mistakes. They still made some. And then just after drops, after guys running the wrong routes, and then after an offensive penalty, it just looked like Mahomes just kind of got fed up with it. He just got fed up with trying to do whatever was doing that wasn't working, and it looked like he just went back to playing football the way Patrick Mahomes has always played football, and I think that's just kind of what it ended up being. He resorted back to what he's always done after, for a lack of better words, just getting too annoyed with all of the mistakes that are going on around him, realizing he can't control all that. He's just going to, attack what he can't control, and I think that's ultimately been a good thing for the Chiefs going forward.
Visiting with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com. And yeah, I mean, after they started off slow against the Bills and, looking at that the drive chart, they had the interception, and that's, unfortunate with the ball batted in the air. And then 3 straight punts, and then touchdown, fumble, field goal, and then the lateral play, Travis Kelce to Kadarius Toney that resulted in a 5-yard penalty, and then they can't get back into field goal range and kick a field goal to tie the game, and they lose 20-17. But yeah, it was a different offense from that point moving forward, and they had other opportunities too. But you're starting with 3 minutes to go in the second quarter against the Bills. 33 minutes of football is not a whole lot, and in 33 minutes of football, they scored 17 points. Well, that'd be about 30 points over the course of the game, but they didn't have the course of the game, and I think that's one of the things we've been watching, Matt, is this is an offense that will go through ebbs and flows, and not only in the season, but sometimes even in a game that it's like, all right, they can get hot. We went back-to-back drives and scored a touchdown. And then the next 3, we gained 15 yards on the drive. And then we scored another touchdown. Is there anything you can look at or point to as to the inconsistencies, the peaks and valleys of this offense in whether it's clicking or not clicking that can just go in a game or from game to game? Anything you're looking at as to why the inconsistencies happen so often that they can look like world beaters offensively and look completely lost the next drive?
The offense is still just having so many miscues, and at this point, I don't even feel comfortable calling them mistakes anymore, just because they've been so frequent. It's just kind of who this offense is. So there's going to be a drive where a wide receiver drops a football in a series. There's going to be a drive in which guys run the wrong routes, or there's an offensive penalty for a false start or a hold that sets them behind the sticks. These things are going to happen, and this offense, while looking better, still isn't what it was these past few years. When they look at 1st and 15 or 2nd and 15, it's just not an automatic that they're going to be able to figure it out. They don't quite have that same level of aura about them right now. And so they keep setting themselves back. And I think we go back and we look at a lot of these plays or a lot of these drives that kind of end up without getting a couple first downs. I think they all kind of follow a similar pattern. There is some kind of self-sabotaging mistake, whether it's a drop, whether it's a penalty. There's been some times where the offensive line has gotten beat or there's been a bad throw. I'm not saying there hasn't been execution errors either, but for the most part, it's the mistakes that are still pushing them back. And I think that's why it's even more important for Mahomes and then Andy Reid, who knows calling the plays, to stay a little bit more aggressive. It's because you can't play safe and still have those mistakes. And that's what this team did in the middle of the year. They were trying to play safe and still having those mistakes, and then it was just compounding on itself. At least now they're giving themselves a fighting chance to overcome the mistakes. But we saw in that Patriots game with the interception, both of them really, and then some penalties, they still can't stop shooting themselves in the foot no matter how deep into the season we get and how many times they tell us. They just need to straighten out those things.
Matt Lane is our guest, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Okay, so what do you do with Kadarius Toney? How do you view what's going on, and what would you do if you're the Chiefs with Toney?
It's so hard. I understand the Andy Reid being very loyal, wanting to be a player's coach, wanting to support his guys, but at this point in time, this year, and you could almost even go back to last year now, he is just too risky for what he's provided for the team. It would be one thing if Kadarius Toney was pacing for 1,000 yards and 6-7 touchdowns on the year and was kind of generally being a net positive despite having the significant bad plays. The issue is he's not been a net positive. Even when things are going well for him, we're still talking maybe amassing 30 yards in a football game. And it looks really cool when it happens because he's a fantastic athlete. He makes guys miss. He does stuff that really nobody else on this team and very few guys in the NFL can do. But you can't structure the offense around him. He doesn't win within flow of the offense. The majority of how he wins is a play designed specifically for him. And it seems like when he's integrated as being part of the offense, that's when the mistakes come. When Mahomes has to drop back and read out the play and then throw to Kadarius Toney, as part of this, not a screenplay or not a play designed specifically for him, that's when these mistakes seem to be coming in. And I think his snap count just it's not a lot, but it needs to kind of be reduced down to where he's getting the Sky Moore pre-injury role to where it just only selects few snaps. They really got to start seeing if Richie James can provide anything. Justin Ross is back now. They need to find somebody else to be reliable because Rashee Rice is clearly ascending. They need somebody else to help, and that guy is not going to be Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, the what you said, the too risky for what he's providing. I think that's the whole crutch of the entire issue with Tony. It's that, the entire wide receiver room has dropped passes, and hey, Travis Kelce dropped a touchdown, right? But at the end of the day, when he goes to the locker room, he's Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes threw a bad pass, right? And at the end of the day, he's a two-time MVP and his two-time Super Bowl MVP as well. And it's like, well, yeah, Rashee Rice has had some problems with drops. Yeah, he has over the course of the season, and that fumble we talk about with the Bills. That was a Rashee Rice fumble. Chiefs were down 17-14. They'd have had the ball 3rd and 2 at midfield if he doesn't fumble the football. He fumbled this past weekend as well and put the ball on the ground and recovered it. Those are issues that he has to clean up. But between those, he's got, 40 targets and 32 receptions in the last 4 weeks and 350 yards and 3 touchdowns to go along with it. And Kadarius Toney has a few catches, a few yards, nothing spectacular, a few handoffs to go along with that. It's like the too risky for what he's providing. Yeah, I've seen people excuse Kadarius, or not excuse it, but say, why are you only talking about Kadarius Toney? Why aren't you talking about Travis Kelce's drop, or Rashee Rice has had some drops and he fumbled the football? Yeah, those need to be improved. But at least there's a positive coming from those guys, and the net gain is worth some of the issues that are there that need to be cleaned up. There is no net gain for Kadarius Toney this year. He has been a huge net negative for this team.
Yeah, and I think that's ultimately what it comes back to. Now, Kadarius Toney's, his bad plays have been so far worse than anybody else's because, 2 drops have led directly to interceptions. Like, they've been very bad. However, if he was providing something to the team from production standpoint, from even just an impacting opposing defenses standpoint, I think it'd be a little bit more of a difficult decision. But I don't think opposing defenses are, changing anything they do when he's on the field. He's averaging barely over a yard per his route runs this year, which isn't that good. His average depth of target is roughly 3 yards down the field. So, there's nothing a coverage unit has to do to the plan for him or to reassess what they are doing based on him being on the field. And then you throw in the fact that when he does get the ball, again, very dangerous with the ball in his hands, but we aren't seeing those plays come in at a high enough rate to justify the lack of falling into the right spots in the zones, running the routes on the time or the spot where Patrick Mahomes expects him to be, the drops. And then the simple fact is, if the ball doesn't come to Kadarius Toney right away on a play, if he has to get downfield to go into an actual route, how many times this year or even the past 2 years have we really seen him catch a pass or get a target within the flow of the play and not as the very first read on it? It just doesn't happen very often. That's just something that's not really part of his game. And you already have Rashee Rice, who operates in a similar manner. Now, he's gotten better as the year's gone on, as you would expect with a rookie, but he's still a guy that gets the majority of his looks, the majority of his targets have come as the first, option on a play. You can't have that many of those guys out there at once, because then once it goes beyond the first read and nobody's getting open besides Travis Kelce. So you kind of got to figure out which guys you want to target, when you want to target them, and it's just getting really hard to envision a path in which it's more worth it to throw the ball to Kadarius Toney than it is Rashee Rice. If I'm going to draw up a screenplay or if I'm going to draw up a drag that gets a guy wide open across the field, I have zero real reason that it should be Kadarius Toney and not Rashee Rice at this point in time. And I think that's the issue the Chiefs are going to kind of run into as they look through this wide receiver room and try to plan out their snaps going forward.
Who gets the Matt Lane's our guest? Who do you think gets the Sky Moore reps that are now not a lot of them anymore, but who do you think fills in that role and gets those reps?
I think we're probably going to see a little bit of an uptick for Richie James. He doesn't get a lot of reps, but he does seem to get a couple targets when he is on the field in his few reps. So he does seem to at least have the trust of Mahomes to try to throw the ball to him. Now, Richie James has had a couple drops this year, or a couple plays he just hasn't quite been able to make when he's gotten targeted, but the targets are coming. He kind of fits in relatively well to where Sky Moore has aligned the routes he runs, because they're mostly short to intermediate. So those make some sense. I am interested to see what Justin Ross's role is going to be. I don't think him and Sky Moore, probably have the same or a very similar route tree, but Ross was getting worked into the rotation before, he was put on the exempt list earlier this year. Do the Chiefs try to go back to that? And does he eat into the missing Sky Moore reps? Does he eat into MVS or Justin Watson? It'll be interesting to track. I do think Richie James, though, is the guy that gets the first crack, and it's probably going to be an upgrade. If you slide in James into some Sky Moore's reps, some Kadarius Toney's reps, it's hard to envision him being worse than those two guys because both those guys, when targeted, are like at negative, EPA when targeted this year, which is pretty bad when you consider that's two guys that have played a fair amount of snaps for the team.
Yeah, just take who was it yesterday? Maybe I think it was Mick Schaefer that said when they target Kadarius Toney, it's like it's almost like a Hail Mary. Just knock it down. Just knock it down, Tony. Just knock it down. You don't even need to catch it. Just knock it down as long as it's not an interception. Matt Lane is our guest. Have they found something in the running back room with how they've used Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon? Now that Isaiah Pacheco is coming back, is that group, that triumvirate, now the third weapon in the passing game with Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce, and it's like, well, where do they go after that? Is it the running back room and Clyde and Jet and Pacheco now? Have they found something what they've done the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, they said it too, and they did it last year. Jerick McKinnon, as you get down the stretch of the regular season, Jerick McKinnon starts getting a few more option routes out of the backfield that he seems to be the not the main target, but involved heavily in the game plan on. They seem to get the screen game going to him a little bit more. Like you clearly see Jerick McKinnon get activated late in the years, and I think that is trying to protect him from having the full season given his injury history and his age. So him stepping in as that third option makes a ton of sense. It's been nice to see Clyde step in for Isaiah Pacheco, and he hasn't been anywhere near as dynamic, and it sounds funny to say that after a jumping touchdown catch and a 50-yard screenplay, but on a down-in-down basis, Clyde's not near as dynamic as Isaiah Pacheco, but I think he's just more consistent, and so it provides them a quality backup running back, and especially with Pacheco coming back, that's a good 1-2 punch if they can figure out, how to properly use them both at the same time. Pacheco has all the big playability, and he provides this downhill hammer kind of runner, and Clyde's going to always kind of get you what's there. He's not going to make a ton of highlight plays, and again, it sounds funny after this last week, but what he's going to do is the textbook run time after time again, and so they are kind of building themselves into having a very competent run game, and whether it's Jerick McKinnon as a third option out of the backfield in the passing game, or they can get this run game to be a little bit more reliable than it has been, especially to start this year, that does give them a third option to getting the ball to Rice, to getting the ball to Travis Kelce, and that is something this team has desperately missed for the vast majority of the season.
Visiting with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Before we talk about the Raiders, Blaine Gabbert a couple of days ago, or at least after the game against the Patriots, Peter King in the Football Morning in America, had him quoted as saying that those Tampa Bay Buccaneers of 2020 that the Chiefs faced off against in the Super Bowl, had their struggles, and then they had to figure out and find ways to win, different than maybe they thought they were going to be built to do that. They had a really good defense, got after the quarterback, and the offense was making a number of mistakes, and then they finally figured it out, and they went on and won the Super Bowl. He even said that they talked about that within the team, last week before that Patriots game, which I thought was sort of interesting in drawing that, parallel. Do you see a comparison? And I'll give you a couple of quick nuggets with that. In 2020, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers started out 6-2. They went 1-3 over the next 4 games, and then they won their final 4 games of the regular season against teams that were combined 20-44, non-playoff teams. The final 4 games of what can you really find out about this team? And of course, then they won 4 straight games and won the Super Bowl. Do you think there's a parallel for what Blaine Gabbert's talking about, and even using that amongst players and maybe in a meeting from 2020 to the Chiefs in 2023?
Yeah, it makes sense. So I had a friend of mine who's a Packers fan coming out of the Packers game. His name is Ross Uglum on Twitter. He had said to me that just like he sees the Chiefs kind of as like a Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler type regular season to playoffs team, and just that they are going to turn it on when the playoffs get there. The regular season is just the regular season. And it makes a lot of sense. And you look at the Chiefs over the years, they have had their ups and downs throughout all their regular seasons, and they've gone on to win Super Bowls, play in AFC championship games. I think the Chiefs internally view this as we have to get to the playoffs, and then everything kind of changes, or we make our run from there. It's hard as fans. We're sitting here on the outside. And I think you can even see the coaches and the players are feeling this pressure too, hence the blow-up versus the Bills, hence, the frustration that some of the players and coaches have had in pressers. This year feels different. It doesn't feel like the answers are as readily available as they have been in years past. So I do think that is a little bit of the belief this team has and has every year, is that just get to the playoffs, get to the dance, they'll figure out everything then. I do think they are trying to make a little bit more of an effort to figure it out earlier this year. They're trying new stuff this regular season because it hasn't been working so well. And I do think that Bucs team is a pretty good, place for Blaine Gabbert to pull from, because that was a lot of new pieces kind of coming in together. They started out really hot. Everybody had high expectations, and then the back half of the year was, stuff's not working. You have a lot of guys that are trying to get on the same page, trying to figure it out, and then they hit the playoffs, and everything just seemed to click for them right away because they have a good coach, because they have a good quarterback. They figured out what they needed to lean into to get to the Super Bowl. So, that's the hope, that the Chiefs go down that route, and it does make a lot of sense. It's just they need to figure out what to lean into. Tom Brady and those Bucs teams did that. I think the Chiefs are close, but they're still trying to figure out what they need to rely on when, all that pressure gets turned up.
Yeah, some of the other parallels, too, of being a team that's so good defensively and gets after the quarterback and things like that, that maybe you can play into your strength on that side of the football from an offense to what they do defensively. We'll see. The Raiders come into town on Monday. Nothing to lose for this team. They scored 0 a couple of weeks ago. They scored 63 against the Chargers. Does that make them a scary team? Is that more of the Chargers quitting and then Brandon Staley being fired? What do you make of this Raiders team, the Jekyll and Hyde of, they averaged 31.5 points the last 2 weeks of 2 games that they played?
I think it's more of the Chargers quitting and the Raiders catching a couple of early breaks than it is the Raiders figuring something out to be actively good. That said, when things are going well, we have seen the Raiders, whether it was the start of the Chiefs game or in this Chargers game, when things are going the way they want it to, they seem to play pretty well. They seem, they are a competent football team when things are going the right way. It's once that gets stopped and they have to adjust where they look a little bit more like the Raiders that we saw the week before when they're getting shut out, or we saw in the second half of that Chiefs game, when they played earlier this year. So as a Chiefs fan, I kind of like playing the Raiders after the 63-point game, because not that it's the professionals. You can't always predict it, but if there was a week that they were going to be more complacent in practice and not have as much of a chip on their shoulder, it's going to be after scoring 63 points and getting a rival head coach fired rather than getting shut out by a not great team the week before. So, I feel like they might not have the same energy that they probably had going into that Chargers game. Yeah, it's a rivalry game, so it's always going to be chippy and difficult, but I think, have a fear of playing them coming off such a big performance, just in the aspect that I don't know if they are going to come in with quite the same level of motivation as they had last week.
Do you have a score in mind for what happens on Monday?
Yeah, I think this game goes a little bit similar to how it did in the first matchup, is where once both teams kind of get settled in, the Chiefs are clearly better. They clearly have the answers for how to attack this Raiders team that really needs the game to follow a very specific timeline, a very specific game plan. And as long as the Chiefs defense doesn't start as slow as it did in that first matchup, I don't know if this game ever gets particularly close. I think the Chiefs offense has figured out some stuff. I think they really had their way with that Raiders defense in the second half. So I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one with another good performance. I'm going to say they win this one 30-17, but I don't know if the game's even that close as long as that Chiefs defense can show up and play hard in that first quarter.
We'll see what happens. Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, the KC Laboratory Podcast, kcsn.substack.com. Matt, we appreciate the time as always and bringing the heat, throwing with your chest here on this Thursday. Thank you, sir. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll talk soon.
No, thank you guys. Have happy holidays. Go Chiefs.
Absolutely. There's Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Go check it out, kcsn.substack.com, and him talking about Patrick Mahomes the last couple of weeks and what he's seen from Mahomes since they were down by 14 against the Bills. I thought it's an interesting sort of turning point with this season, that Mahomes, even before that, of maybe playing a little more timid, or maybe it was the game plan to make it a little less risky offense, even though they were still turning the ball over, where down 14 to the Bills, Mahomes might have just said, you know what, bleep it, let's go, and started, firing passes in there. And, in 4, 5, 6 quarters of football, essentially, they've scored 48 points since then. Maybe that was the change, and maybe Mahomes is just simply saying, bleep it, I'm going to fire the football, and we're going to, do what we have to do. 34 points that they've scored. 44. I'll do the math eventually. I was thinking they got to 31 for some reason, but obviously I'm thinking about the Raiders game. But 27 against the Patriots, and then 17 against the Bills. So, 6 quarters of football, essentially, 44 points that they scored against some pretty good defenses, by the way. So maybe we'll see some sort of a change. And maybe that is to where Mahomes of the let's just freaking go. Let's play some offense. Let's do this damn thing. And let's use Kelsey, Rashee Rice, and our running backs. And that's what we're doing moving forward. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll move forward as well. We will hear from the Chiefs about 20 minutes from now. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and we'll see who else will be there at the podium. And also Todd Lebo working the locker room. More Zone next. Typically on a Thursday, we would hear from the coordinators, including special teams coordinator Dave Tobe, which would be an interesting one today with Deflategate Part 2 coming out of New England, coming out of Boston, with the kicking footballs that were underinflated, the K-balls that the New England Patriots special teamers were visibly upset, mad at the officials at halftime. And if you haven't seen the story, the officials went into halftime and checked the kicking balls that weighed 11 psi that were supposed to be at 13.5 psi. But they were 2.5 pounds lighter than what they were supposed to be inflated to. And the special teamers knew immediately, but nothing they can do about it. They are not allowed to warm up with the actual K-balls for the game. Those things are sealed and then brought out during the game because, of course, you wouldn't want some sort of an advantage there. By why can't they warm up with the kicking balls? The hell, man! But the Patriots kicker saying that the mechanics were good, the trajectory took a different course, and maybe that's why, because it was 2 pounds lower, not sure. But Butker, in properly inflated footballs, is 61 straight consecutive kicks. Or actually it would be 61 plus 66 consecutive kicks with properly inflated footballs.
You hate to put an asterisk on a record. Yeah, you hate to have to do it, but in this case, I think you have to. It is weird that they had football inflation issues in Foxborough, but I'm sure the NFL will look into that any day now.
Yeah, they'll figure something out there. I mean, that's never been an issue before. I don't know. It turns out officials didn't do their job before the game. Typically, that happens during the game.
Don't tell Roger Goodell.
Now they're doing it before. I hope nobody asked Roger Goodell after another game takes where the footballs are inflated properly. Because then he would say, I find it ironic we're talking about properly inflated footballs here. It just shows you how tough the officials' jobs are in reading a gauge to see how pumped up a football is. That's not easy to do. Okay, you can't just throw a flag on a gauge to see what the PSI is for a ball, whether it's 11 or 13.5. It is a difficult job for these officials to be able to check that before the game. And it's not like it was 10 degrees or something there. Nobody had sleeves on in the game. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and we'll see who else is at the podium, and Todd Lebo work in the locker room as well. More Zone next. Johnny's Tavern. We'll hear from the Kansas City Chiefs here in just a little bit. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. We'll hear from Chris Jones, and Rashee Rice will be at the podium today, which, I don't know, somewhat annoying because we have like 3 or 4 more clips I wanted to play from the podcast that he was on with TJ Hushmanzada, Who's Your Mama? We can still play those, depending, maybe sitting in a podcast setting where he's there for 30, 45 minutes. Maybe you're a little more candid than in front of a microphone. And in fact, he did say that as part of the podcast. I didn't clip it, but he was like, well, when I'm just talking to the media, it's just like, the team are playing, they're really good. And they got a great defense and everything. And, we got to work on some things offensively to be able to go out and play well. Like he even talked about it with TJ Hushmanzada. It's like, well, when the media is there, and it's essentially my words are going to be much more guarded than sitting here in a setting with what I view as a peer and somebody who I've developed a relationship with over the years that I may answer things a little more honestly. I have no idea. But we'll hear from Rashee Rice, Chris Jones, Andy Reid, and Patrick Mahomes whenever they get to the podium. And then tomorrow we'll hear from Dave Tobe. And no doubt he'll be asked about Deflategate Part 2 and how much of an issue that might have been. M Live did the numbers. In the first half, there were 5 kickoffs that flew 64 yards average. Second half, the 5 kickoffs went 67 yards. In the first half, 3 punts were an average of 45 yards in the air. In the second half, 6 punts were an average of 52 yards in the air. So maybe there was a difference. I don't know. But yeah, the Chiefs won. Had they lost by like a field goal or something or missed a field goal at the end, Deflategate Part 2. See, they're cheating and giving them another win. This is ridiculous. Just trying to screw Harrison Butker.
I think if your quarterback is Bailey Zappi, you should get to do 1 cheat per game.
Especially if you didn't even know his name was Bailey.
Yeah, if like the top 3 stars on the opposing team doesn't know your quarterback's first name, you get to deflate a football a little bit, just like as a treat.
Yeah, just randomly. It's 1 random football. Could be a K ball, could be an opposing ball, could be your football.
Yeah, I think you get to pick 1. I don't think it's random. I think that team gets
Okay.
to pick, but it can only be 1.
Okay, interesting. So if that ends up being the one that Jerick McKinnon tossed to Rashee Rice, it's now out of the game.
Yep, right.
It's now gone from the game.
Right.
It is now in Rashee Rice's closet.
It's why they went with the kicking ball, because they thought, hey,
Yeah.
this could end up being really relevant if Harrison Butker is trying to kick a game-winning field goal. We're gonna derail it right here.
Also, nobody's just going to nobody's going to take the football to put it on their mantle.
Exactly.
Like a touchdown could be taken and kept. Nope. Or thrown into the stands when they score a touchdown and fired into the stands. Now, that's not happening with the football when you're kicking them. K-ball. No, those are staying in rotation. It's smart.
The same logic is actually why Brady was allowed to do it. You would say, well, Josh, that doesn't make any sense. Every opposing player knows his name is Tom. Hey, stupid. His name is Thomas. Okay? They spend all week calling him Tom. Sometimes they call him Touchdown Tom. That's not his first name or his last name. So for Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., he, for a long time, was able to also use that pick 1 ball to deflate rule.
No, it makes total sense. Absolutely. And when you've got Patrick LaVon Mahomes, you don't need those things.
Exactly. Well, that's, if you call him Pat all week, maybe we get to take a couple of PSI out of that sucker.
Yeah. It's a really good point. Do you find it interesting that nationally it's like you need to call him Patrick? Why don't you call him Patrick? His name isn't Pat, it's Patrick. But then everybody in that locker room calls him Pat?
Yeah.
Andy, Travis, Rashee Rice in the podcast was like, well, Pat's Pat. I mean, you got Pat and Trav, and, you're going out, and it's like, we know the guys in the locker room. It's just, he's just Pat. Like, well, why can't we call him Pat then, huh?
Yeah.
I thought his dad's name was Pat.
You can. My mom also, I think, probably isn't going to want to hear this, but moms don't get to decide what everyone else calls their son, and I think that's really where this is all coming from.
Well, they do name their kids, so a little bit they get to decide. Here's Andy Reid.
Couple guys that are sick. Nick Bolton's sick, and Cam Jones is sick. We had a couple last week, so it's going through a little bit. And then McKinnon with the groin won't practice today. Tony with a hip strain won't practice today. But for the challenge of playing the Raiders, they're playing good football. Antonio has done a real nice job with that group, and they're playing hard. They've got a good scheme offensively and defensively, and special teams for that matter. So we've got to have a good week of practice, and that starts today. So, anyways, with that, time's yours.
And what would brought to your attention that the balls weren't the right weight? How could that impact the play?
You know, so we've got to have a good week of practice, and that starts today. So, anyways, with that, time's yours.
And what was it brought to your attention that the balls weren't the right weight, and how could that impact the play?
You know, Ted told. I mean, I didn't. There was. I don't know anything about it. You know, I'm walking down and he mentioned it to me. So, I don't think. I'm not worried about all that.
Andy, you didn't get any concern, or I guess, from Harrison or?
This is the first I heard of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just kind of a housekeeping question on McCall. He's past his 4-week window.
Yeah.
Is he close to getting?
Yeah. So he'll be out there. He's got 21 days, I think it is. So he'll be out there today and get some work in. Just see how he does.
Richie and Justin, they look like they might be set for return or more plays, as you said on Monday.
Yeah.
When you evaluate that, how much do you feel you can get those guys integrated?
Yeah. Well, we'll see. They've got a few plays in. We'll just see where it goes. But they're ready to go. It's just see how it works out.
Andy, with regard to Sky Moore, is there a sense he could be back if you guys keep playing long enough? Or
Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance. The thing's tender. It's been, he's a tough kid, so he battled through it there for.
Do you like the idea of playing on Christmas Day?
Yeah. So listen, once you're in the season, every day it's the same. I mean, today is Wednesday, but it's Thursday. So I mean we're programmed, but I think it'll be neat for the fans, and our guys are excited, and I'm sure the Raiders are excited. So it's different. Monday night at noon. That's different. So.
I mean, one of the things the Raiders did obviously against the Chargers was turn the ball over, pretty aggressive at getting turnovers. How cognizant do you have to be, especially with this group, with how they're after trying to get the ball out?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they're great at that. I mean, you better keep it high and tight. We've had a couple that have popped out, and they're going to go after the ball, but they do a nice job. They do a nice job doing that.
Coach, go ahead.
I was going to say, the ability to win the division this week, how much is that part of the pregame conversation?
Yeah, the main thing is getting ready, and that they're still alive. I mean, so and then it's the Raiders versus the Chiefs. So you just got to get ready. You don't have to really talk about all the other stuff, but it's it's one of those Raider Chief games. So.
Coach, I don't ask this to get you in any more trouble, but the NFL kind of gave you a lump of coal with the fine after the Bills game. Is that just the cost of doing business from sometimes with what you have to say?
Well, you take that coal and you make diamonds out of it. But I appreciate the setting me up.
There's another game in New England where you failed to score in the fourth quarter. I think y'all are dead last in the league in fourth quarter scoring. How do you finish games?
Yeah, we've got to do better there. And I mean, the bottom line is you have to score. You have opportunities, you got to score. So.
With Isaiah, just how eager is he to get back in the mix? Are you expecting it to be kind of a full workload with him in his return here this week?
Yeah, I think it'll be a full workload. But with that, we've got backup relief if he needs to come out. So Clyde, I mean, we've got all kinds of confidence in Clyde, so stepping in.
Hey, Andy, since we talked to you on the Zoom on Monday, we learned that Ed Buddy had passed away. Thinking of the old Raiders-Chiefs games, memories of
Yeah, that's why I was going to finish this. Our hearts go out to the family. What a great player, both he and his son. So I mean, but Ed was a good person. He would show up for all the different events, and he'll be missed. Yeah, what a good football, but tough guy. You know.
All right.
Coach,
Sorry. Go ahead.
Coach, you've had guys that have made mistakes on the field and going through slumps. What is it that tells you that the guy's going to be, you're going to need him, going to the end of the season? Is it your experience as a coach or just your understanding?
They won't need who? Who did you say?
Just any player, just in general.
Give it to me one more time.
So you got guys that have gone through slumps. Have made mistakes throughout seasons. What is it about you that says, I'm going to need these guys?
Yeah, somebody, listen, if they're young, you take a little step back, you have a chance to take steps forward. So that's how it goes. And you're going to have ups and downs in this business. It's a pretty tough sport, and there are a lot of people that are, going to put their opinion out there, along with the coaches and players. Everybody's got an opinion. So, but you gotta, you keep working.
Andy, how would you assess? You're so known for coaching the coaches, right? How would you just assess first year for guys like Todd Beeston and obviously Connor and other guys throughout the year? What you try to get out of the assistant coaches to help the guys on the field?
Yeah, they're doing a good job. The young guys they've got. Todd's a little different. He's got guys that's pretty veteran group there. But Connor, look at Rice, and that kind of tells you gives you the answer to that part of it. But in his production, so.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
All right, so there's a good mood Andy Reid today. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes, but Andy Reid was in a good mood today. Some guys missing practice. We'll tell you about that. Here's Patrick Mahomes.
The offensive lineman, just the story behind all that, the idea to get them those, and how excited they were.
Yeah, I got that golf cart, the club car golf cart at home, and I was like, man, this is sweet. And I was thinking of ideas, and I wanted to change it up from what I've done in past years, and I figured I'd get them something that I enjoy, and I think y'all could see from some of the videos they enjoyed it. They were going around Arrowhead, and I got a little nervous because I thought I was gonna ship them to where they were going. They're like, no, we need to get in them right now and take them for a ride. So I know it's cool. I'm glad they enjoyed it, and it's part of that part of the year, and they do a lot for me, so I'm gonna take care of them as well.
Excited to play on Christmas Day?
I am excited. Obviously, a little disappointed that I don't get to do the Christmas morning when Santa comes with the kids. But I get that whole afternoon and evening, and so to be able to play on Christmas Day right after everybody wakes up, they get their gifts. They'll turn the TV on. They're going to see the Chiefs playing. It's going to be it's extremely exciting and a great opportunity.
How much do those guys actually play golf?
Yeah, so that's why I got the 4-seater. There's only a couple of them that actually play golf, and so you have kind of that one actually has a place for you to put your golf clubs if you want to take it out to the golf course. But that's more for like the cruising around the neighborhood type of golf cart. So I gave them the option where they could do both, but I chose more the comfort over the convenience of being on the golf course.
We've been kind of seeing the progress from Rashee Rice over the past 4 weeks, really breaking out. In your eyes, what's the ceiling for what he can eventually even be even further past that?
Yeah, I mean, he's still got a lot he can improve on, which is crazy to say. I mean, he's had such a great season. But just, I mean, the little things that NFL receivers do. I mean, he's got the explosiveness. He knows how to run the routes, but there's the nuance and how you run the routes, how you set one route up to run another one. But I'll say this, he's taken from the veterans, Marquez, from Justin Watson, from Travis, he listens and he learns as much as he can and tries to take that in. I think that's why he's gotten better and better as the season's gone on.
Patrick, you guys can clinch the division by winning this weekend. You've got some experience with that. What does that do for the preparation, one way or the other? Anything? Does it make it more difficult? Easier?
Not necessarily. I think you just have to take it like it's a game you're going up against the Raiders. We know how intense it's going to be. We know this rivalry means to both sides. It's going to be a great battle, and we're excited for the opportunity to play at Arrowhead. And obviously, if we win, we can clinch the division, and that's part of it. But at the same time, I think it's just when you go up, these two teams go up against each other, there's another added step, and the I don't want to say pressure, but the momentum. We got to go out there and give everything we got.
So it's not part of any conversation that you have, locker room conversation?
No, I mean everybody understands it, but at the same time, it's a game. I mean, we have to go out there and play like just like every other game. Every game matters in this league, and so for us, we have to put our best effort forward every single time. But I mean, that's something we talk about before the beginning of the year. Is our first goal is to win the AFC West. We understand it's a great challenge, and so we just have to come in with that mentality that we're going to do everything we can to win this week, and that will clinch our first goal if we can do that.
You've had 3 games now to really get a feel for what's it like playing with Wanye protecting your blind side.
Mm-hmm.
Just where has he sort of progressed the most in that 3-game stretch, and how have you sort of tried to adjust to his blocking style?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you know is that he's a battler. He's someone that's going to go out there and fight the entire game. He's getting better and better as far as technique and little things that we do within our offense and how Coach Heck wants it. But I think what you do know is that he's going to finish every play. He's going to go out there, and if he loses a rep, he's going to come back that next rep with that mentality. He's going to win that one. He's not going to let anything affect his mentality. And so it's great whenever you can throw a guy in there like that, a young guy, and he steps up to the plate and he hits a base hit, or he gets a home run. I mean, he's ready to go, and whenever his number gets called, he's going to be ready to play.
Does the protection scheme change much at all when you add a new guy, especially when he's a rookie, when you know teams are blitzing you more than usual?
Not necessarily. I mean, we stay on top of that stuff, and we try to be really like top tier as far as picking up protections and stuff like that. Obviously, you have pass rushers. I mean, with 98 on the other side, you have to make sure you added some attention to him. But their other guy, 51's been playing great too. So I mean, it's gonna be a great challenge for us going up against this team in this pass rush. But I think you just got to go out with the mentality of we're going to execute the game plan and let the guys win their matchups.
Patrick, we saw some, maybe frustration, disappointment, whatever, when the cameras were on you after the tip ball left from Kadarius. The cameras are always on you. We don't get to see all of those things that happen on the sideline. But where are you now with just trust and maybe frustration level with some of the things that have happened, with him catching the ball?
Yeah, I think in that moment I was frustrated at just the interception and giving the defense a short field. I mean, the defense was playing so well in that second half especially, and I knew in that moment of the game you don't want to have turnovers and stuff like that. You want to either score, obviously first goal, but second goal is flip the field, let our defense play. And so getting that turnover in short yard and getting them into a position where they're basically after one play touchdown or whatever that was, that's on us as an offense. And so there's no added frustration towards any player. I mean, I know how hard these guys work. I've said it all year long. I see how they practice. I see how they work after practice, before practice, and I know that they're doing whatever they can to help the team out in the best way possible. And so they always know that I'm going to have that confidence in them. I'm going to keep firing the ball to them. That's just how I roll. Whenever I see the guy put in the work every single day, that I have trust he's going to go out there and make the plays happen. So that's just the frustration, I think, was just over the whole situation, not necessarily directed at one person or another.
You might not be able to answer this because it's maybe more a question for them, but what do you see from your receivers at their confidence level, too? Because, I mean, some of these younger guys have some ups and downs. Do they look like a confident group to you, especially the young ones?
Yeah, I mean, I think they look confident. I mean, they joke around. They're having fun at practice. They're working their tail off. They understand they want to be better. I mean, everybody does. We want to be the best that we possibly can be. But at the same time, I know those guys are going to make plays, and I've seen them make plays on the biggest stage. So I know that they have the confidence and know that they believe in themselves as much as I believe in them.
It's been limited looks, but what do you think Richie James could provide you guys if we get a little bit more opportunity on offense?
Yeah, no, I think he's done a great job with the opportunities that he has had. I mean, you've seen he's going to catch the ball, get vertical, break tackles, be in the right spot at the right time. And so I know Coach was talking about we got to keep getting him more and more involved. Obviously, the injury in the middle of the season hurt his kind of production. But as he's gotten healthier and healthier, you see we're trying to add him in as much as we can. I think the coaches are going to continue to do that because he offers a different skill set. He's a veteran guy that knows kind of where he needs to be at the right time.
Matt?
Patrick, the fine that you got for after the Bills game was a little bit heftier than players usually get for criticizing officiating. Did you get some explanation from the league as far as that goes? And is this just kind of the cost of doing business for speaking your mind in a spot like that?
Yeah, I mean, you understand the consequences that they tell you before the year. And so obviously I had outbursts on the sideline and everybody saw it and on a big game. And so there's going to be consequences to that. And obviously I got the fine. And so now you just got to live with those consequences, learn from it, become better from it, and not try to let that happen again. But we kind of just kept it moving. I mean, that was a couple weeks ago now, and now we're just focused on the Raiders and how we can do whatever we can to beat them.
You mentioned home run a little while ago. I want to get your thoughts on Royals moves.
Big time, man. No, I mean it's cool, man. I mean, obviously since I've been here, it's kind of been down a little bit. I mean, before I got here, I've talked to Travis a ton about it, how cool it was for those 2 World Series title runs. Obviously, a lot of the players left, and now they're trying to rebuild that thing. You can see the young core. And how talented those guys are, and now they just want to add the veterans to come in and not only have their impact on the team, but they want them to influence that young core of how you do things the right way. And I mean, I think they have as good a chance as any to win in their division. I mean, it's going to be a great season, and I'm excited to be able to be there and just see it. And I want to see the K. I want to see it packed and how those World Series runs were. And so I'm super excited about it, obviously. And hopefully, I'm not going to try to. I'm my owner, so I can't really say anything. But hopefully, we have Bobby Witt here for a long time. So I'll say that.
Just related to that, Patrick. Any of the specific moves that charged you up the most? I know I saw you flex on the Twitter at one point.
Yeah, I think just adding to the rotation. I mean, we have a lot of talented young guys. I mean, if you look at Reagans, you look at Singer. I mean, some of those other guys that Chris that we just signed back. I mean, we got talented young guys, but to add those veterans, and Waka and Lugo, guys that have done it in a lot of different places, know how to pitch, know how to teach other guys how to take their games to the next level, and then adding some bullpen guys as well. I mean, I think they've done a great job, and that's what their plan was. You could tell. I heard them talking about it, the GM talking about what the plan was, how they were going to go out and execute it, and they've done that. And so I don't know what else is in the works. I don't know, I'm not that close, but hopefully we come into the season with some momentum going, and we can go out there and start off hot and finish even better.
Last 2, Sam and Steve.
Patrick, obviously the first priority in these last 3 games is to win them, but just with it being late season, do you look to accomplish something else additional to best set you guys up for the playoffs?
You always want to be playing your best football going into the playoffs. I think that's what I've learned in my career is that you can start hot, but you want to be playing your best football whenever you get to the playoffs because it doesn't matter what your record is at that point. I mean, it's just whoever plays the best football is who ends up winning the Super Bowl. And so, obviously, we did some good things in the last game, but I think if we can finish better, we started better finally, now let's finish better. And so let's put that complete game together. And I think if we can do that and start getting better and better these last few games, we can get to the playoffs and be playing our best football, then I think the AFC's wide open and we'll be able to go out there and try to find a way to get to the Super Bowl.
Steve? Patrick, you got to talk about going into the playoffs. You got Jared, Pop, now most recently Clyde all have success this season. How beneficial is that?
Yeah, I mean, they all have different skill sets, and they all do a great job of just being ready for the moment. I think that speaks to the room. It speaks to how much pride they have in not only one guy having success, but everyone having success. And you see it on the sideline when you see the little snippets. I mean, they all want to score. They want the other guy to score as much as they want to score. And so that speaks to the type of room that they have, is that they want everyone to have success, and they're going to capitalize on their moment and be ready for it.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, there's Patrick Mahomes. You're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. We'll hear from Chris Jones and Rashee Rice. Boy, a lot of stuff there from Patrick Mahomes, including to talk about the Royals. I mean, he's pumped up. He's an owner, so he can't weigh in on it, but he wants Bobby Witt to be around a long time. I don't know. Is he saying that I'm an owner, so I can't tell you what's going on behind the scenes, that, we're writing checks and, breaking necks, coming out here and winning games?
I think he just got fined by the NFL and doesn't want to also get fined by MLB.
He's an owner. Why can't he say that?
I don't know. It just feels like there could be tampering in there somewhere. I know he's a player on the current team. He's probably fine, but I get it, man. I get it.
I think of it. Oh wait, no, I can't say anything. Bobby Witt, he's very good. Yeah, but clearly, I mean, we know he played baseball and grew up in a baseball family. His dad playing Major League Baseball, obviously, but knows a lot about it with the young guys and the rotation and things like that. So, yeah, he's excited as well. So we're gonna hear. Here's Rashee Rice.
Yes, I am.
Don't sound too excited.
This is another game, man.
I read somewhere you did set some preseason goals. Was it the combine? Do you remember what those goals were and what kind of progress you've made toward those?
Truthfully speaking, I don't really remember those goals anymore. It's just been a long season and kind of a blur for all those goals we had, just because everything don't go as planned all the time. And I mean, maybe when I look back, I'll overcome all those goals. But right now, we're on to bigger things right now.
Are you happy with your production so far this year?
Yes, sir. Of course.
playing the Raiders for a second time. Just your overall thoughts on facing that defense, which really had a good effort against the Chargers last time out.
Yeah, they got a great defense. We ran a lot of plays against them. This is our second time playing them, so they should be, prepared for a lot of plays that we have in store. And, they have, great film on us from this year. We have great film on them this year, so we're just going to get at it on Christmas Day.
Do you embrace the fact that you're facing a team for the second time this season, and, people are going to start noticing your name now? How do you embrace the challenge of people kind of looking out to you as kind of the guy, oh, we got to guard him now? How do you embrace that challenge?
Just like I embrace every week. Not letting the outside stuff get to me, and knowing that if I'm handling what I have to handle in practice, then it'll take care of itself in games.
Rashid, the NFL season is a lot longer than college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who have you, I guess, pulled from as far as like us in the locker room and talk about like your nutrition and just keeping your body right as you go into the playoffs?
The vets on the team in general. We got guys that have been through the physical part, a lot of vets. I can ask plenty of questions about that.
Who have you, I guess, pulled from as far as like us in the locker room and talk about like your nutrition and just keeping your body right as you go into the playoffs?
The vets on the team in general. We got guys that have been through the physical part, a lot of running part, the mental part. So it's just I have a lot of vets that I can ask plenty of questions about that, depending on what I'm feeling like.
What's the best Christmas present you ever got?
I'll say the best Christmas present I ever got was a car from my dad.
What was it?
It was a Mitsubishi. It was my first car. It was a Lancer. I felt like I was a Fast and the Furious.
For your record with the touchdown, you got that ball from Pat, right?
Yes, sir.
He went and got it after just to make sure that you had it. I guess what did that moment mean, and I guess what are you planning to do with the ball?
I plan on, putting the ball somewhere safe, to where my kid can't play with it all the time. And just kind of, cherish that moment when it happened. But I look forward to many great moments, with the team and with Pat. So.
Yeah, I was just talking about your progress. He mentioned that you even still have room to improve. He mentioned specifically like the little things and nuances. What do you see in your own game even this year where you can even get a little bit better ahead of the playoffs?
Truthfully speaking, everything. I'm young, and I feel like every time I'm out there, there's vets on the field all the time. So every time I'm out there, I'm looking to learn something from all those guys. So if it's the smallest thing or even if it's the biggest thing, I'm going to try to put it into my game as soon as possible.
Anything else? Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you.
All right, there's Rashee Rice, Chiefs wide receiver. We'll hear from Chris Jones at some point. Todd Lebo's in the locker room right now. Boy, I'm glad we had mentioned earlier when we were playing some clips from Rashee Rice from the podcast he was on earlier this week that was released yesterday afternoon. I'm glad we had mentioned that Rashee Rice said on the podcast with TJ Hushmanzada about, well, now with when I talk to the media, I just keep it short and I just say just the general stuff of the team we're playing is good and yada yada. As he said, excited to play on Christmas Day. Oh yeah, I mean just. What about your goals? I don't remember those anymore. 2 days ago you did.
What about the Raiders? Well, they got a lot of tape on us. We got a lot of tape on them. We're playing them a second time. So that'll be good on Christmas.
Here's the thing. He's trying not to make mistakes off the field either.
Yeah,
so he's going about the nuances and the details of the entire game of being a professional athlete, and he's not going to be the one at the podium that says something that gets people riled up or is taken a certain way or something like that. But, so Rashee Rice, there he is. And I think that might be the norm until, I don't know, he gets more comfortable in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Maybe something along those lines. We'll see. Maybe later this year, maybe next year is if he gets more comfortable. But right now, it's you ask a question, I'm going to give you a very quick answer, get to the point. And anybody got anything else? All right, great. Let me go and head back and work out or do whatever I need now that the media time is over. Things like that.
He's just good at beating coverage, man. I don't know what to tell you.
He is. He's avoiding any of those pitfalls.
That's right.
Right.
That's
It's the words after question. He's minimal at that.
That's like,
He's
I guess,
very good at yards after catch.
Yeah, words after question is like his ADOT, like his average depth of target. Like it's a lower number than you'd expect, but he's very successful with those low numbers.
He's actually a negative words after question over expected.
Yeah.
It's a negative number there.
Negative
11 or 12.
Wackoey? Is that where we're at? Negative wackoey?
Wakoey.
Wakoey's better.
After
I like
question
that's good.
over expected. Wakoey. His Wakoey is rough. It's not the best.
But also, I think you're on it that like he also hasn't done that many professional pressers. Like I think we've gotten him post game a couple of times, and then in week like once or twice now. So as we've heard him give interesting, insightful answers in the podcast clips. Maybe once he's just the number one receiver on the team and not still a rookie and all of that, maybe we'll get a little more from him at the podium.
Was it Wanya Morris in the locker room that Todd Lebo told the story that the media scrum did the interview? It was recently in the last 3 weeks. The media scrum did the interview, and then after it was over, he looked at one of his teammates and said, "How'd I do? How'd I do with that one?" I think it was Wanya Morris because it was mid-season and it was like a rookie that hadn't talked. So that's the only one I can think of. But it's to that degree that, hey, now there's microphones in your face. They're throwing questions at you, and it's going to be written down. There's going to be clips that are played nationally. If it's something that makes news, they're going to be talking about it on ESPN and NFL Network. The other team's going to be talking about it if you say something that's going to be viewed as, bulletin board material or anything like that. And so that was great. It was an endearing moment that Todd told. I'm pretty sure it was Wanya Morris of finishing up the interview and, hey, how'd I do? It's like, well, I don't remember what you said, so I think you did well. I don't even remember if it was Wanya. Had it been something crazy, I think if it was Wanya Morris talking about, and Willie Gay-esque of nothing scares me about the Bengals offense. What's nothing? If it was Wanya Morris dropped that, we would know that it was that particular comment.
Given the choice, I would rather, I think, if I had to earn the wrath of an Andy Reid mustache wiggle, I think I'd rather earn it for like a drop or a mistake on the field than a press conference one. Because I feel like the press conference ones he forgives even less.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Just don't make news off the field and do your job on the field. There's a couple of clips from Rashee Rice that I do want to play. That he went a little more in-depth with TJ Houshmandzadeh. We'll also play some sports or leisure coming up in the 1 o'clock hour as well. Todd Lebo's working the locker room right now, and it's always an unknown about Chris Jones. Like, should we take a break? Should we keep dancing? Stalling? What do you think we should do?
I don't know. I haven't gotten any further intel. I am concerned right now that you may be physically closer to the podium than Chris Jones is, so I do worry about that.
True.
It's most likely not true, but there's always a chance. And I don't know. There have been times that Lebo's gone into the locker room, talked to 3 players, and come back out and said, "All right, Chris Jones, any minute now." So I don't know. If you said you had a lot of takeaways from Reid and Mahomes. We can kick that around for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
As soon as we really commit to that, I think we'll summon him to the podium. So
for sure, it was a happy Andy Reid today. He was in a good mood, even to the point where Todd Lebo asked a question, and Andy Reid said, "It's a good point." It's, whoa, hey, about the Raiders are good at causing turnovers, and the Chiefs are a team that have had the turnover issues. And you go into a game against the Raiders and say, you got to clean these things up. You got to, eliminate some of the mistakes. Well, they are a team that's going to try to force some of those mistakes. And they did that against a Chargers team that, didn't want to be out there. Question is, do the Raiders want to be out there on Christmas Day? Playing at a 10 a.m. body clock for them in Kansas City at noon? I'm not sure. And then Matt Derrick asking about the NFL and the coal and the stocking and price of doing business, and Andy Reid saying, "Well, you get coal, you make diamonds out of it." Yep. So,
I noted. I think all of those. Also, I will add on the Lebo question in the thought of like, oh, hey, look at this. Look at the Christmas spirit applies to both of them. I do think Lebo really got some extra credit there by asking a question about something that Andy Reid can immediately use in a meeting if he hasn't already been using it this week. Of like, listen, they create turnovers. We got to protect the ball. Like Lebo asked about like a coaching talking point there. It's pro press conference moves.
Mm-hmm. Bolton is sick, won't practice. Jerick McKinnon has a groin nursing that, won't practice. Kadarius Toney, a hip strain, will not practice. McCole Hardman's 21-day window has opened up from return from IR. He will practice. Isaiah Pacheco will have a full workload this week. So there's the sort of housekeeping going along with that. And saying that, Richie James and Justin Ross, he said, we'll see. We've got a few plays in when asked about Richie James and Justin Ross. Both of them? Because they were both combined. Was he meaning that we've got some plays in for both those guys? Or in his mind thinking, Richie James, we've got some plays in there since I've already said we want to get him in the game more. And Patrick Mahomes talking about Richie James getting more playing time and that he's where he's supposed to be and he catches the ball and maybe there's a trust level. He doesn't play much. He only played 2 snaps, got a target and 17 yards in the game. So if Patrick thinks he's where he's supposed to be and on time, then he absolutely should be getting more playing time. And we'll see if that makes any sort of a difference this week. But Donovan Smith practicing too. So how does that impact Wanya Morris? That's a question moving forward. Who's starting on Monday?
I would imagine it's still Wanya. I imagine he keeps the job from here, but it will be very interesting. Because that, again, a lot of times the Chiefs will give us answers outside of spoken words. That's the only time, in fact, you usually will get a completely honest answer. If it is Donovan Smith, we will know that the Chiefs were doing some things to try to help Wanya Morris out. They don't feel like they had to do with Donovan Smith, but I'm not sure that that's true with the evidence we have so far. So I'm hoping it's Wanya because, again, in part, it means the Chiefs think that there's not a discernible enough difference between those two guys, and it's more worth playing the rookie.
Pat got all the golf carts for the offensive linemen. The videos out there that the Chiefs have released. He got all that. What do you think he got the receivers?
Jugs machine,
new gloves,
tennis balls,
jelly of the month,
jelly of the month glove. There's no Christmas bonus for them.
He got MVS a compass.
Got Kadarius Toney a protractor.
Can't say that one. That one's mean-spirited. He got Travis Kelce, just some moisturizer, just getting up there in age. Just got to keep that face looking pretty.
Absolutely, yes. And he's got to be pretty for Tay-Tay.
Got to be.
Got to be looking good for Taylor Swift. Yeah. I'm not. Richie James more playing time.
That was his gift.
He opens up Monday morning. He opens up the gift, and it's 15 snaps today. All right. Hey guys, I'm gonna play more. It's what I asked him for. You guys didn't hear me ask Santa for it either. I saw it on his lap. I whispered it that I wanted more playing time, and then I got it. It's real. He's real.
He actually put Rashee Rice in his will, which is sort of macabre, but it's just how much he trusts him right now and how much he has to trust him.
It's odd, and the will is just more playing time. It still comes back to that. It's just randomly, like we're just going to give you a few more snaps in the game. That's what you're going to get.
He's getting Noah Gray, like one of those reflective safety vests, just so Andy Reid will see him on the sidelines and remember to put him in the game more.
He's getting Blake Bell a invisibility cloak, so Patrick will never throw his way because he can't see him.
Hey, listen, if you're going to bring an invisibility cloak into this, I think you actually may want to use this in-game. This could really change. This could really change the math.
Yeah, they're going to use it in-game. It's going to be Blake Bell when he runs a route. Here's an invisibility cloak. Even when you're open, Patrick isn't throwing to you.
I think if you got an invisibility cloak on the field at this point, hey, Blake Bell, run a 9 route. I'll catch you down there in a second. No one's going to cover you. No one's going to know you're there.
Yeah, somehow it's a turnover still, so I think
probably,
that's the issue.
Probably would be. Maybe that's what he got, Kadarius Toney. Maybe it's just like a bake your own turnovers kind of kit.
It's set it and forget it.
Yeah,
It's shake and bake, and I helped.
It's a good one. I just want to step on it.
They got Rolexes last year, I guess. The offensive.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, golf carts are much more practical. Yeah,
I'll take the golf cart. Depending on the Rolex, the golf cart's probably more expensive, though. I mean,
I would think that's a good question. I'm on it. Yeah. I have no. I need way more specifics than watch versus golf cart. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty legit golf cart. And I don't think he's cheap. I don't think he's getting somebody a Folex. I don't think he's going down to Cancun to buy a Rolex, on the beach as Patrick Mahomes for the offensive lineman. So he's probably getting him a nice one. But I think I'll take the golf cart. Now I wouldn't have anywhere to park it in my house, in my garage right now. But certainly it'd be cool to have it. Yeah, I mean, I would take it. That'd be great. And by the way, where was Prince Tega Winogo? Because Patrick Mahomes was riding around in Prince Tega Winogo's golf cart.
Okay, I saw some of the clips of video, but I did not see that. I'm guessing that's not. I'm glad he took care of Prince. Maybe he was just not at the facilities because he's still rehabbing or whatever.
Maybe.
because that was was that an ACL? I know it was a serious ligament injury for him, but he might need the golf cart more than anybody else at this point. Come on, Patrick, drive it to his house or whatever, wherever he's at.
Maybe that's what he was. How about that? I was going to ship it to him, but they decided just to, have me bring him to the facility there. Oh, I was just going to have him shipped.
Yeah, it's a
different life, man.
I don't think he's really sweating that $50K the NFL dinged him for. Patrick, you got fined quite a bit, like more than you usually get fined for a thing like that. That was, of course, the price of 2 of your Christmas gifts to your offensive linemen. How are you going to make that up? You're going to have Brittany going to pick up some hours at a Starbucks or something, or how are you guys going to account for that? You want those kids to work?
Does John Sherman know that you got fined by the NFL?
Pat, I know you'd like to keep Bobby Witt around, but after that $50,000 fine, are you going to be able to actually afford him? Hey, it happened again. Full circle, baby. We did it. Lebo is back from the locker room waiting on Chris Jones.
Well done, everybody. Well done. Well done. Nice job. Hey, text Lebo and see if it was Wanya Morris that he told the story about that said after the press conference, how'd I do to one of the teammates.
I'm on
I just want to get that factually correct in this specific segment before we take a break or hear from Chris Jones or even start Sports or Leisure. Hey, heads up, we may have to stop Sports or Leisure in the middle of the game to listen to Chris Jones, depending on when he gets to the podium. See, we could have taken a break because that was 13 minutes ago.
Yeah, he is so quick to the pass rusher and so slow to the podium. It's wild.
They told him it was just a running play.
Breaking news, Todd Lebo confirms Wanya Morris was the one who asked how'd I do after a locker room press conference.
Yep.
Thank you, Dylan.
Is it breaking news weeks later?
It's breaking news for this segment. It's we can take a breaking news, I guess, because you wanted to get it in this segment. So I just wanted to make sure we didn't.
Should we do that?
Didn't waste any time. I don't know. I'm even more non-committal about it because, like, if we go to a break for 30 seconds and we come back and Chris Jones appears, it's going to be miserable. But if we, I should probably take a break.
It's like running the sprinklers and then raining. As soon as we do it, he will show up.
I can get you rain out.
A watched presser never begins, they say. So
yeah, all right. Well, we're gonna go to the bathroom and wait for the server to bring our food. So we'll take a break, but don't go anywhere because at any moment we're gonna bust through the offensive line and hear from Chris Jones. We'll be back with Chris Jones either after a commercial break or during the commercial break. Stay tuned. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We will hear from Chris Jones when he gets to the podium. Great decision, guys. Nice job. Well done, everybody. Made the right decision. Instead of going forward on fourth down, we decided to play field position, and now we've got the ball closer to the end zone. So I just want to thank everybody in here. The analytics were wrong on this one, Josh.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I'm not saying I'm frustrated with any particular player. You know, everyone wants to be better. Everybody wants to do their job as best as they can. Everybody wants to be great here, and we're all putting in that work every single day to make sure that when the moment arrives, we're ready for whatever happens in the press conferences. And with that, I'll open it up.
While we wait for Chris Jones, I'm not going to play any clips because, we can play some clips or start, and then Chris Jones, or maybe we can, I don't know, because what's kind of funny about Blair asking Rashee Rice and saying, I read something earlier that somewhere about your goals for your rookie season. Can you tell us what those are? And Rashee Rice told Blair, I don't remember what they are. I'm not sure. I don't remember what the goals were that I wrote down. Well, 2 days ago on this podcast with TJ Houshmandzadeh, he gave the goals that he wrote down. And so we actually have that clip of if we want to know what Rashee Rice's actual goals were for his rookie season, or if Blair Kirchhoff would like to know what the goals were for Rashee Rice's rookie season. We have that clip. I don't know if we want to wait till Chris Jones is done playing in Kansas City.
Let's rip it. Let's rip it.
Okay.
If Chris Jones shows up, he can disrupt us like he disrupts a quarterback.
Okay, I didn't know if maybe we wanted to wait till he's on a different team next year, and then we can play the Rashee Rice clip. I'll just wait for Dylan to let me know if he has it or not. He's got it. Here's Rashee Rice when TJ Houshmandzadeh asked him, "You're close to 1,000 yards. Is that something that's important to you?"
When we was at the combine, you talked to us and you was like really write your goals down. So I actually, talked to my agent. I wrote some goals down. Obviously, I wanted a 1,000-yard season. I wanted, I'm trying to set the bar high, try to get 5+ touchdowns, and then also put, go to the Pro Bowl, if not Pro Bowl, in the Super Bowl. So it's just like, I'm clearing milestones, but it's not really, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. But it's just good for, other people see what's going on, but to me, for myself, I'm not even scraping.
Was that the end of the clip?
It appears that was the end of the clip.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know if it was the end of the clip or not. Sorry. I didn't know if maybe I cut out or something like that. So 1,000 yards, 5 or more touchdowns, make a Pro Bowl or go to the Super Bowl. Those are the goals. But I think maybe his point in there, Josh, was, when it's like, yeah, people see what's going on, but and maybe his point to Blair was even like, yeah, those were goals, but now I'm playing in the NFL, and those goals mean less to me now playing than maybe they did before the season started. But he's right there. He's close to 1,000 yards, and that was something that he wanted to accomplish. He's already passed the 5 touchdowns. He's 2 more than that. Don't know about a Pro Bowl, but Super Bowl still attainable. That's there. So there you go. Rashee Rice, and even he's saying he's just scratching the surface, just scraping the surface, whatever it is, for Rashee Rice. So there you go, Blair. If you were wondering what the goals were that he wrote down, he gave them to TJ Houshmandzadeh.
And I do think it actually makes sense for those to be pre-season, pre-career aspirational goals, because you're setting standards for yourself before you know what team you're going to be on. I mean, there's so much changes between point A and point B there, and now in this case for Rice, he's already eclipsed one of those marks. He's very close to the other, like you said, and Super Bowl is still on the on watch, even though Pro Bowl probably not, just because there's a lot of good receivers. But I mean, I do think that most of the time players kind of resist putting their individual goals out there in a team sport. He could have said that I would love to hit 1,000 yards and I've already scored a lot and want to just get us to a Super Bowl now. I mean, that he could have said that, but maybe it was easier to just say, nah, this is something that's so far in my rear view 2 entire days ago that I have no memory of what it is.
Well, while we wait for Chris Jones still, You want to play the clip of Rashee Rice answering the question of the wide receivers that he watches and takes things from to try to learn from and add the different nuances to the game and different things that wide receivers do well that he tries to add to his game. Do you want to play that? It's about a minute and a half.
I'd love to hear
we got
that.
90 seconds or so?
I am not going to assume Chris Jones is 90 seconds away until he's been at the podium for 95 seconds.
Very good. Here's Rashee Rice. He was asked different wide receivers around the league that he watches to try to take some things from their game and incorporate it into his game.
Devontae, obviously his releases. Even my college coach told me that like my body was built like him, so I kind of locked into his releases as much as I could. I was actually on the sideline, like watching him in the game. You feel me? Trying to take it. If he would have did something that I liked in the game, I probably would have tried it right.
Like I'm gonna try it next series.
For next series, yeah. But yeah, Devontae, Deshaun Jackson, obviously speed guy. Julio Jones. I just like the way he was aggressive. Like his burst out of any, when he got the ball, top of route, anything like that. The first 10 yards, that burst, I feel like that's where I kind of translate him into my game because I just like try to explode off the ball. And then obviously, DeAndre Hopkins, he got the hands. Like, I mean, if the ball coming his way, he gonna make the catch. So I feel like just trying to put his game to mind, having the confidence in my hands like him. And then obviously, growing up, Larry Fitzgerald, that's the first reason I wore number 11 because I played for when I moved to Texas, my first team I played for was the Cardinals in Pee Wee football. So I started watching Larry Fitzgerald a lot. But at the time, I was young, so I was looking at the number. I was like, number 11, who the best number 11, you know what I'm saying? So Larry Fitzgerald, and then I'm watching Julio.
Devontae's release, Julio Jones' physicality, and his explosion in the first 10 yards after touching the football. I think we've seen that, though, right? Like, if we're talking about something that maybe he has been able to incorporate into his game, like said, I'll see a Devontae Adams release, and maybe I want to go and mimic that, like the next series. He'll watch it on Monday. But what he said about Julio Jones, his size, but as soon as Julio touched the ball, his first 10 yards is bursting out of there. May not, 4.5 40 for Rashee Rice. He's not Deshaun Jackson, right? He's not the over-the-top guy. But when I've got the ball and my size, if I can first 10 yards burst and maybe get to top speed quicker or as quick as I can, then that makes a difference with his size and breaking tackles. And then, Hopkins just catching everything that's thrown his way. And, yeah, Rashee Rice. When he said Hopkins, Josh, I thought he was going to say Hopkins' ability to, jump ball and come down with the football. And I want to be like that because that's something that Hopkins can do, certainly. And Rashee Rice has that ability as well. But yeah, Devontae Adams' release, Julio Jones' explosion and physicality, and DeAndre Hopkins' hands. So there you go. That's what Rashee Rice wants to be.
I'll take it. If he's offering that little Frankensteining there is great by my desires for a wide receiver. I think that's a great standard to set. Really does bum me out that MVS is the reason he can't wear number 11 though.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. So now he's got number 4 because of his first Pee Wee team was the Cardinals, and he was given number 11, and so he did that with Larry Fitzgerald. Oh, here's Chris Jones.
Unfortunately, I forgot it. I was talking to my academic friend, George Karloftis. He made a 32 on his ACT. It's hell, right? I said the same thing. Like, George. Oh, man, let's go. I'm so proud of it, man. I just.
What was your score? What was your answer?
I made a 25. Hey, listen, the world are led by C's. If y'all didn't know, look at the few presidents that we had. All of them had C's, but he said, like, C's get degrees, okay? I got a PhD in football, so I'm good. Yeah.
So what are the Christmas morning plans? How excited are you for the game on Christmas?
Yeah, man, it just, Christmas is Christmas. It's a lot of love. The spirits are high. Santa Claus is coming in the chimney. It's a lot going on. My kid called me yesterday and was asking, should we make cookies for Santa Claus? And I was like, Santa Claus might be on a diet by the time you make it here, so I don't know. But so now I got to go pick up cookies after this. I got to go pick up cookies after this to make sure Santa Claus eat all the cookies up.
You didn't want to make them? Home make them?
No, this one we doing. We grabbing stuff from the store to bake. Yeah, it's real.
Did you get the presents already?
No, I'm a procrastinator with this. So I like to feel like a little pressure. So everything is like today and tomorrow. Next day shipping, crunch time. I put the pressure on everybody else. We got to do this, please. I need you. Yeah, so it's like closing time right now. I like it though. I like to feel the pressure. The anxiety is like everybody be stressing out around me. I was like, well, you got to do this. We got to. It's like, my kids won't even have Christmas without you. We know we don't want Santa Claus to miss this house, okay?
Chris, how nice was that Drew back last week?
Drew, man, he's been wonderful for us throughout the whole year. His speed, his wisdom on his defense. You know, he's come in to make plays for us. Even able to transition to Mike when Nick Bolton went down. So it speaks volumes for what he's able to do for this defense.
When you see guys like Dana and O'Neal, they prosper inside, but you see them getting sacks on the outside. Just what does that say about the D-line and just how diverse y'all are heading to the long stretch?
I think we got a lot of hybrid guys in our room. Mike Dana, who can play DN and 3 technique the whole game if you need him. You got a guy like Charles who can do the same. You got a guy like Tershawn Warden who can do the same. So we got a lot of guys in our room who can transition it in and out, and it adds versatility in our room to be able to move guys around and cause havoc.
Raiders get 0 1 week and 63 the next week. What type of Raiders team do you think you're going to see?
The best Raider teams that they can give. I think we went and played them up there a few weeks ago. You see how they started the game off, feeding Josh Jacobs the ball heavy and getting 17 involved. I think it's a good squad we went up against. I think it's a physical squad. Amongst the coaching change that they just made, I think he's doing a hell of a job in how he's directing. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. How he's directing and leading those guys.
Chris, you mentioned George when you came in here. He had at least ended the season with 6 sacks last year. He's at 9 now. Can you talk about his growth from this last year to this year?
He needs to get 10. He needs to get 10. We've been talking about it all week. I've been busting. I've been giving him crap. I'm trying to watch that, you know. I've been giving him crap all week, man. I think it was one of his goals coming into the season to make sure he have double digits, and I want to push him to get that. He worked so hard during the season and during the off season. Me and him talk about it a lot, and I think it'll be another milestone in his career to reach that. We got 3 more games left, and I think he's able to do it. I think it'd be tremendous for not only his confidence and his game moving forward, but giving him something to build off of.
You guys always talk about the details. What was it? Can you see any changes in his game from last year?
Yeah, sense of maturity, his understanding of the game. I think George didn't start playing football until he was a junior. You know, I think he still have a lot to learn. I think he's still learning, and he's improving, man. That's all you can ask. Improve every year in and year out, and the sky's the limit for you if you continue to do that. Like I told him, you continue to like double your sack count. Oh my God. You're going to kick me to the curb out of this place, man. You're going to get me up out of here, okay? But yeah, man, I'm a cheerleader for George, man. I want him to excel.
A couple more.
Chris, I think every one of your teams that here has won the division, and now you're 1 win away from winning it again. Is there a different feel the week of the opportunity to win a division?
Not really. I think it's the same importance as in any game we play. We know the importance of these last few games of the season. We know what we want for us as a team, and we know what's ahead of us. So for us, every game is as important that is a division game or outside of the division.
Chris, how did you get confirmation from George about the perfect ACT?
Listen, we were talking to ACTs in there and just
talking to
intellectual speaking. And I was telling George, you're very articulate, George. I don't know how a woman cannot want to marry you. He was like, yeah, I made a, what do you say? I made a 32 on my ACT. And I was like, oh, did you? You know what I mean? This is news to me. I'll be with you every day. I'm so proud of you, bro. You never told me this. I'm ecstatic, you know. But yeah.
I'm sorry. Patrick got all the guys' golf carts. You know, who's the guy that's the gift giver on the defensive side? You know, what's the big gift on?
Hey, listen. We don't have Patrick contract. Okay, till the Chiefs start paying me $50 million. Listen, I can't afford everybody's golf cart, but I do get the D line of Rolexes after I get 10 sacks. So I don't got 10 sacks. Nobody get nothing. Okay? Y'all have a beautiful day.
All right, there's Chris Jones, and see, he confirmed that the golf carts are more expensive than the Rolexes. So there you go. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and wrap up this hour. We got Sports or Leisure at 1 o'clock. More Zone next. right, wrapping up this hour. Obviously, a very short segment as we'll play some sports or leisure coming up in the next segment. 913-381-0810, playing some sports or leisure. Johnny's Tavern. We'll be giving away $25 to Johnny's Tavern. We didn't get a lot of time, or didn't get into George Pickens and Mike Tomlin and what's going on there in Pittsburgh. Jaylen Warren also weighing in on the George Pickens quote block for Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren in the locker room said, quote, "It is what it is. At the end of the day, he was doing what he thought was best for him. Some people play the game differently. If I was in that position, I would have blocked for him, but we play differently." Everything's going smoothly. The standard is the standard, right? Isn't that what they say? Sports or leisure, 913-381-0810. More Zone next.
You're into sports, but nothing wrong with a little leisure time. Why not both?
You're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 40 if you don't learn to relax.
It's time for sports or leisure on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, 913-381-810. Time for a little sports or leisure. 913-381-810. Give us a call, first in, first on. Do want to still give you a heads up as we talk about Guaranteed Foods. You know, Guaranteed Foods has the tailgate pack that they have, which is a $500 value that they will continue to give away for Chiefs home games. And for the upcoming home game versus the Eagles, you can register to win at 810whb.com/guaranteed foods. You go there, register today, and we will announce the winner. We'll contact you tomorrow morning, and everything included is 4 slabs of baby back ribs, brisket burn-ins, cheesy corn, bone-in honey barbecue wings, Cure 81 honey glazed ham, jalapeno soft pretzel bites, Johnsonville brats, chicken tender strips, baked beans with brisket, baked potato casserole, gourmet turtle cheesecake. It's a $500 value for the price of zero. All you got to do is go to 810whb.com/guaranteed foods and register to win that Guaranteed Foods tailgate pack giveaway. So there you go. A little news around the NFL. The Cincinnati Bengals have already ruled out Jamar Chase for this weekend with his shoulder injury. They are taking on the Steelers. George Pickens will be playing for the Steelers. Maybe, I don't know. Jamar Chase will not be playing for the Bengals this weekend. So if you're a fantasy football player and you've got Jamar Chase, then you can curse at clouds. Because fantasy football is stupid. It's very dumb, and I'm tired of it. Tired of fantasy football. Not that I have Jamar Chase or anything. Not that I have Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill and Chris Olave being the strength of my team, and not a big deal. Olave is playing tonight, but Tyreek didn't practice yesterday. Now Jamar Chase is out this week. Olave and Tyreek didn't play last week. Luckily, you had a bye. And then last year in the playoffs, Jalen Hurts and Jonathan Taylor were hurt. So no big deal there. But fantasy football, it's awesome. There's totally a lot of skill that goes along with it.
You know how how I keep from having fantasy football ruin my last few weeks of the NFL season? You know what I do?
How?
Miss the playoffs.
Oh, that's right.
Doesn't matter then. It's no big deal.
Okay.
Just miss the playoffs.
Very good.
Stress
Good
gone.
Yeah, no, that was smart. I was joking. I've always said, everybody says, oh, the bye week came at a perfect time. Oh, the bye week, it came at a perfect time. For me, I'm like, the bye week came at a perfect time. I got the bye in the playoffs, and Tyreek Hill and Chris Olave didn't play, and Jamar Chase didn't have that great of a game, and Jalen Hurts struggled. The bye week was perfect. Yeah, but now you got to actually go out. So Jamar Chase out for the game on Saturday. That is the news in the NFL that just came down a little bit ago. So 913-381-810, that is the phone number to play a little sports or leisure. We are giving away $25 to Johnny's Tavern for sports or leisure. If you get a sports and a leisure question right, you win the prize. Get either of them wrong, you lose. The question is out there available for someone to call in and request if they know the answer to it or if they've Googled whatever. We give out the right answer when it's been answered correctly or we have simply run out of time. So that's how you play sports or leisure. Johnny's Tavern, $25. You can join Sports Radio 810 today at Johnny's Tavern in Blue Springs from 4 to 6. Todd Lebo, Dylan Michaels, they will be there hanging out with you. Everyone who stops in will be registered to win a great grand prize. You get 2 tickets to see your hometown NFL team play the Raiders. Monday, Christmas Day, you register, somebody is going to win. Also, you can register to win a Budweiser Cornhole set, all courtesy of Bud Light, the official beer of the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL. All you got to do is show up. Johnny's Tavern, Kansas City's premier sports bar. They will be at the Blue Springs location, 1175 South 7 Highway. Go to johnnystavern.com to see all the Johnny's locations all over the area. That's where Todd Lebo and Dylan Michaels will be from 4 to 6 today. We are helping you with $25 to Johnny's Tavern along the way. Again, 913-381-810. Categories today. On the sports side, we've got NFL. We've got some Chiefs-specific questions. We have a Chiefs-Raiders category, questions related to players that either played for both the Chiefs and the Raiders or some other things that have happened in the rivalry, etc. And then also we have the category from last week, the Royal additions, moves that were made in the offseason, bigger moves in the offseason for the Royals, not necessarily trades midseason, July or anything like that. Offseason moves for the Royals. Those are the categories on the sports side. What about leisure, Josh?
On the leisure side, we have the Christmas-themed What Could It IMDb XMAS. I'll give you an IMDb plot synopsis for a Christmas movie. You got to tell me what the movie is. Also, a little festive cheer today in the pun name game, in addition to the grab bag and the last couple of questions from May the Drake Be With You, where the Drake gave us some Star Wars questions a few weeks back, and we're just sort of chipping away like about one of those a week. So the grab bag, the pun name game, IMDb, Christmas edition, and Star Wars are what I've got on my side.
Very good. I am ready to go. Josh, you good to go?
I am good to go. Dylan Michaels, are you ready to go?
Yippee. Let's go.
Let's roll, Josh.
Actually, he cut himself off there. He actually was going to say yippee-ki-yay,
yippee-ki-yay.
and then he cut his own mic right before he needed to not say that.
Speaking of Christmas movies.
I didn't want to broach the topic. I was afraid. Oh, I should have just thrown it in there. Maybe I did.
What's there to be afraid of? It's a Christmas movie.
That's fine. I don't have an opinion on this or what type of breaded meat a hot dog is. I don't care about either one anymore.
The whole premise is that he's going to try to win his wife back at a Christmas party. Like, he's there at the Christmas party. He's coming home for Christmas.
I'm on your side.
That is a Christmas movie.
I'm on your side. So
thank you.
Yeah, I'm on whatever side.
2 to neutral.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. I just abstain. I'm not. This isn't me like secretly taking. I don't care because I haven't seen the movie. First up, we got John. John, sports or leisure?
It's worse than not having an opinion.
Well, I guess I'm going to start off with leisure, and I'm going to do that Christmas IMDb.
Okay, first one up here. After a divorced New York mother hires a nice old man to play Santa Claus at Macy's, she's startled by his claim to be the genuine article. While his sanity is questioned, a lawyer defends him in court by arguing that he's not mistaken.
Miracle on 34th.
Boom! No miracles necessary for you. That was set up, knocked down. Now to the sports side.
Which I believe Miracle on 34th Street, if I am correct, was released in like August.
No way.
Yeah, I think it was, and I bring that up because people are always like, well, Die Hard, it wasn't even released around Christmas. It's like, oh, is A Miracle on 34th Street, is that a Christmas movie?
May 2nd, 1947.
Yeah,
what a great bit of trivia.
Yeah, in May. I've always used that again. Well, Die Hard, when did it even come out? When did Miracle on 34th Street come out? That's a Christmas movie. It came out in May. Eat it. All right, sports side. We got NFL. We've got the Chiefs category. We've got Royal Editions. And we have Chiefs Raiders category.
I guess I'm going to try the Chiefs Raiders category.
Great. Since you're trying it, I'll give you the one off the top that I think might be the easier of the 4 questions. Let's go with this one. Yes. Many players over the years have gone from one franchise to the other the very next season, i.e. Rich Gannon, right, from the Chiefs to the Raiders. But only 3 players in the history of players that have played for both, only 3 players have played at least 10 years for one of the franchises and then joined the other the following year between the Raiders and the Chiefs. I think one of them would be the free space on the board, so I'm going to say name 2 of the 3 that played at least 10 years for one of the franchises and the very next year played for the other.
Man, that's the easiest one?
Well, it sort of depends on the pitch. Like sometimes, it's like, here's my curveball. Well, that's your easiest pitch. I swung and missed. Here's my fastball. I hit it 500 feet. I'm a fastball hitter, Sort of depends on who you're pitching to. I don't know. So
for some reason I wanted to say Albert Lewis. I think he's ended with the Raiders.
I mean, that's one of them. That's not the that's the toughest of the 3. Well done. There's one.
Okay.
Nice job. There's one. But one of the other 2 played at least 10 years with one of the franchises, and then the very next year joined the other.
Oh, man.
Josh, do you know the answer to the either of the 2 remaining?
I think I know the layup.
Well, the layup was even before you were born, Josh.
What did Dwayne Bowe play for Vegas?
No.
Oh, okay.
Man, I don't know if I'm going to – so I'm going to kick myself, obviously, because it sounds like it's an easy one. I don't know why I chose this category if I didn't have some of these guys teed up in my head already.
Another one was, I'll tell you this, one ended with the Raiders, one ended with the Chiefs. So these two that are left went the other way. One played the first part of their career with the Raiders and then went straight to the Chiefs. One played the longest tenure of their career with the Chiefs and then went to the Raiders. There's the
I don't have anything. I don't know it. I don't know.
Damn it. Well, I do believe you will be kicking yourself once we get an answer to that here, maybe the next caller. I'm not sure. Thank you for playing. I appreciate it. Happy holidays to you and yours. You can still go see Lebo and Dylan and enjoy your Miracle on 34th Street that you just get to see them in a day. Every day is a fun miracle for us when we get to see Dylan and Todd. Who's next, Josh?
Next up, we got Eric. Eric, sports or leisure?
Let's go sports. Let's go the exact question we were just doing.
All right, what's the answer?
Well, we'll go with Albert Lewis, and I believe he's going to kick himself over not remembering Marcus Allen.
Marcus Allen played a very long time with the Raiders and then came right to the Chiefs. Do you know who the other player is, the third of the three, or depending on the category, but the other player?
I'm guessing on this one. I want to say the lineman. Was it Casey Wigman that did it?
No, you want to, Josh? Do you know?
No, I don't. Wigman went to the Broncos, right? Is that that's the traitor-ish thing? Remember
Derek Johnson.
Oh,
Derek Johnson went straight to the Raiders after the Chiefs. Didn't play long, but still went straight to the Raiders after the Chiefs. Those are the three. I thought Albert Lewis was the toughest of the three, so well done, you guys. And Marcus Allen was the layup. Eric, over to leisure with Josh.
What category would you like, Eric?
IMDb and Die Hard is a Christmas movie. There's a Christmas miracle involved.
Thank you.
Darn right.
Well, this isn't Die Hard, so you can tell me what is the movie I'm talking about here. I like this one a lot. Jack Skellington, king of Halloween Town, discovers Christmas Town, but his attempts to bring Christmas to his home causes confusion.
Oh, God. I knew it was going to be... And I know the movie. I can visualize it. I don't... Oh, God, hold on. Is it Nightmare Before Christmas?
You got there.
Nice job.
You got there.
Man, that's I was going to give a hint of some sort, but you got there. I stopped once you started getting along the road. Eric, well done. Congratulations. $25 to Johnny's Tavern heading your way. Thank you for playing, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. There's winner number one. All right, Nightmare Before Christmas, and maybe a nightmare for a previous caller and not getting Marcus Allen. I'm actually surprised you didn't get DJ. You didn't get Derek Johnson.
Yeah, I wasn't locked in enough there. I was thinking Marcus Allen. I had that. I would not have gone 3 for 3. Certainly though.
Yeah, clearly you would have gone 1 for 3.
I probably would have gone 1 for 3, but it's different when you're under the pressure of having Johnny's on the line. So
that is exactly right.
Changes things.
Who's up next, Josh?
Up next, we got Avery. Avery, sports or leisure?
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Yeah, that's actually what it says on TBS.
Yeah. I feel like when Kelsey heard that name, he'd known a lot of people named Bailey, and none of them had been men.
That's great. You know what? That's a good point.
I really do think that's what I think. I think it being a gender neutral name was jarring in that moment.
I'm so dumb. That is exactly what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an Uber driver. If I get a Bailey, I'm looking for a small woman and not a man. I'll do the Royals free agents.
All right, Royal Editions. Okay, so this is Avery, right? Okay, so we got Avery. Let me look at the questions
Avery
for
time.
Avery.
Yeah, go ahead and unlock the lockbox you've got under your usual list of questions.
Yeah, there was a guy with initials J and R that signed as a free agent after the 1993 season. Name him. No, I'm joking.
Jackie Robinson.
Wow! Nailed it. Okay. In the offseason after the Royals lost the World Series in 2014, they went out and signed 3 free agents that would be either part of the rotation or everyday players. Who were they? This isn't actually the most difficult one. It's just one that I wanted to ask.
I
painted the duck blue because I wanted to see a blue duck.
So, like, probably Alex Rios, because they didn't have Nori Aoki anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then I don't think Edinson Volquez was he wasn't on the 2014 run, right? So they probably signed Edinson Volquez.
Okay, there's 2. Nice job.
They signed 3. Is it a pitcher or a hitter, man?
Avery, do you think I'm going to give you a hint? Do you really think you're getting a hint on this game, Avery? Have you never played this before? We don't give hints.
Don't give hints?
You're doing a good job of who was on the 14 team and then not on the 15 team that were starters / everyday players.
The DH, Kendrys Morales.
Well done. Yep. There you
what
go.
a performance.
Yep. Nori Aoki and Billy Butler, there in 14, not there in 15. So they went out and signed Edinson Volquez, Kendrys Morales, and Alex Rios. The answer there. Over to Leisure with Josh.
What category do you like?
Let's do Christmassy pun name game.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I got to scroll down. I was on the IMDb ones. You're going to get this one.
Last time you got me with like a TV special made out of styrofoam, so I'm going to stay away from that.
No, I had to play dirty, and that's just part of the game. But this one's gold. I just feel like this one deserves it. The Chiefs certainly didn't follow this misbehaving child's path by shooting their own eye out when they acquired Charvarius Ward in exchange for this since-forgotten offensive lineman.
His name is Ralphie. What? Oh, okay. So, all right. So you're looking for who Charvarius Ward got traded and Did you say this again?
Uh-huh. The Chiefs certainly didn't follow this misbehaving child's path by shooting their own eye out when they acquired Charvarius Ward in exchange for this since-forgotten offensive lineman.
Oh, he had a stupid name, didn't he? It was Pat Anger? No, that was his safety. It was something like that, right? Oh my God.
You got this, right, Jason?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Like, Ralphie Parker Ahinger?
I'm gonna need an enunciated answer, Avery.
Oh yeah.
Ralphie Parker Ahinger?
Close enough. Close enough. It's just like what you fill me with every week, Avery, which is anger. It's Ralphie Parker anger is how I feel every week. But
I do like that one though.
Thank you. I was tickled with that one, only for Avery to come in here and butcher it. Congratulations, Avery. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, you dingus.
Nice job. 913-388-1010. My buddy texted me and says, it's not Christmas till Hans Gruber falls from Nakatomi Plaza. That's right.
Whoa, hey, spoilers.
At least sorry about that. Turns out he dies really hard. Okay, it's just he is not somebody that is that's just gonna die easily. Okay, there's your spoiler alert. Sorry about that, but yeah. And spoiler alert, it takes place at Nakatomi Plaza.
Man,
sorry about that.
That's really unfortunate.
Yep, that's right.
I guess I don't even have to watch it now.
Who is, now you don't have to watch it because you were going to get right on it.
I was working on it. We got Charles next up. Charles, sports or leisure?
Let's do some leisure. Let's do the grab bag.
Let's hop over to the grab bag. Well, sometimes I feel well organized, and then sometimes people ask for the category I wasn't already lined up. What's the capital of Ohio?
Oh.
Pretty good. Pretty funny, Jason. Funny little joke you got there.
Oh.
Sure would be a shame if something happened to it.
Columbus.
Bang!
Nice.
Round on the ends and high in the middle, and Columbus at the capital.
What are you thinking on the sports side? We've got NFL, we've got Chiefs, we've got Chiefs Raiders, and then we have Royal additions.
Let's do some Chiefs specific.
Chiefs specific for you. All right, let's have some fun here with these. Okay, so Jerick McKinnon now has 14 touchdown receptions in his Chiefs career. Now follow me on this one. There are 6 other players who played at any point for Andy Reid in a Chiefs uniform that have at least 14 touchdown receptions in their Chiefs career. Besides Kelce and Hill, Kelce and Tyreek, name 2 of the other 4 players that in their Chiefs career had at least 14 touchdown receptions, but at one point also played for Andy Reid. Doesn't mean their whole career was with Andy Reid. I just want to make sure that that's clear.
At least 14 touchdowns?
At least 14 receiving touchdowns as a Chief, and at least, one game with Andy Reid. Not that there is a player that only played one game, but just one game with Andy Reid as the coach for the Chiefs. 4 players besides Kelce and Hill, and obviously Jerick McKinnon. So name 2.
Oh, boy.
One of the names has already been brought up in the sports side of it.
Yeah.
That's
really?
true. Yeah. One of the names was a question I got on Sunday Sound Off earlier this week. Another name Andy Reid mentioned today in the press conference.
I just had to check for one that I was going to say as a joke that if I'm understanding your question correctly, may be a correct answer.
Did he ever play a game with Andy Reid as head coach?
He did.
So then he'd probably be a correct answer.
Okay.
Doesn't mean he has to have the 14 receptions while playing for Andy Reid.
He did not.
In a Chiefs uniform. Exactly, he did not. Everybody else did, though. Well, had at least 14. But anyway, you want to throw a dart as who the couple players
Drawing
are?
a blank. Can I get a hint, maybe?
One of the players Andy Reid mentioned today. Another player was mentioned in an earlier attempt to answer. And one of the players was a question that I was given on Sunday Sound Off. There you go.
3 hits.
Are they a running back?
And one of the other players, he and I were hanging out at the Super Bowl at multiple different times, randomly.
Oh, gee whiz.
This last year. It was a running joke that like 3 days in a row I ran into this guy out in the on like the sidewalk or the streets. And
you got 4 hints and 4 possible answers here, right? How many does he need?
Right. Every single hint is a different answer.
Receiving touchdowns, at least 14 with Reid.
In their Chiefs career. And then played at least a game with Andy Reid as a head coach. So overlapped with Andy Reid, but had 14 career touchdowns in a Chiefs uniform at least. Kareem is incorrect.
Oh, wow.
It is not Kareem Hunt. He did not have 14 receiving touchdowns. He had 14 total touchdowns around there, but not 14 receiving touchdowns for the Chiefs. Thank you for playing, Charles. Should we take a break here?
Yeah, let's do that.
Dylan? Okay, great. Let's take a break. We'll come back. People can marinate on that question and try to figure out what the hell I was trying to say. Hopefully people understood it. But
14
we'll
touchdowns in a Chiefs uniform.
Yep.
So unfortunately, upon further review, Kelvin Benjamin would not have been the kick-ass answer I was hoping it would be.
You were thinking it was Kelvin Benjamin?
He had 20 career touchdowns and played under Andy Reid, but this is where the confusion blossomed for me. But I figured it out.
Okay, there you go. All right, I thought you were going to go with another B last name.
Well, I got a few of those also, but I had to pull up Kelvin Benjamin's football reference page because I hadn't done that in 6 months, and I like to do that every once in a while.
I see what you're saying. Absolutely, yes. It's just one of your favorites. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue playing Sports or Leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. More Zone next. Well, all I want for the holidays this year, some NBA action, and DraftKings Sportsbook delivering big time. They've got you covered. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Tyreek Hill returned to practice today for those in fantasy football that may have Tyreek Hill on their team. 3 games to go. Tyreek Hill needs 152 yards per game over the next 3 weeks to reach 2,000. So if you've got Tyreek Hill on your team, might be a good thing because I think they are going to try to get him that. So without Jamar Chase playing this week, and I need you to come through for me, Tyreek. Come on now. Come on, Tyreek. I need a 300-yard game this weekend. Come on. Help me out. Let's go. All right, 913-381-810 is the phone number. Or Jalen Hurts just to simply play like look in the mirror and realize he's Jalen Hurts. You know, Chris Olave to play well tonight. Just whatever. You know, just don't re-sprain his ankle in the first quarter. All right, 913-381-810, playing for a little sports or leisure Johnny's Tavern gift cards. 913-381-810, Johnny's Tavern, premier sports bar in Kansas City, 10 locations around the area, Lawrence and Topeka, and the Blue Springs location, South 7 Highway, is where Todd Lebo and Dylan Michaels will be coming up at 2 o'clock from 2 to 4. You can go and hang out with them. All right, let's get back into sports or leisure. Josh, who is up next?
Up next, we got Andrew. Andrew, I'll give you the categories again here either way, but you want to start with sports or leisure?
Let's go leisure.
All right, so your options are the pun name game, the grab bag, Star Wars questions, and then the IMDb Christmas category.
Let's do the IMDb Christmas.
Okay, this is your question, your prompt, your answer, perhaps? Jeopardy rules. Follows the lives of 8 very different couples in dealing with their love lives and various loosely interrelated tales, all set during a frantic month before Christmas in London, England.
Oh. Man. This is one I do not know.
There's like there's a slam dunk hint that I had to just not do just because I don't want to be so cheeky that I give it away, you know. I often have a problem being too cheeky.
Yeah.
See the shorts I got this summer?
It's such a knob. I didn't know if maybe you were just going like English insults.
I honestly, dude, was not, but it works perfectly. It worked. It worked well enough that I should have just said that I was doing that.
Yeah.
Is it? Gosh, I think that I know one of the actors in it. Hugh Grant? I cannot think of the name.
I think if you give us a shot of what you think the name might be, it would at least be really funny. So I'll settle for that.
Throw a dart. Here we go.
Something love something. I'm
just pick a second word just for fun.
just throw another word out there.
Loving Christmas. I don't know. I got nothing.
Loving Christmas is not a bad one, you know. That's every Hallmark movie ever. That's right. Andrew, thank you for playing, man. 913-381-810. All right, Josh, who's up next? 913-381-810.
Up next, we're going to Matt. Matt, sports or leisure?
Can I take the Love Actually one?
Actually, you can. I'd love it if you would. Ding, ding.
One of my hints was going to be like somebody pretentiously correcting a person that likes. It's Love Actually.
Who's the best? Who's the best quarterback the Packers have had in the last 10 years?
It's Love Actually.
It's Aaron Rodgers. That's such a stupid take, Jason. What a dumb thing for you to say.
Is it Rodgers Actually?
It's Rodgers Actually.
We were looking for Love Actually. That's what we were looking for. Sorry about that. All right, sports or leisure? What side are you thinking?
Well, he's got leisure now, so it's sports time.
Jesus. Sports time. Sorry about that. Sports side.
Duh, Jesus is actually a different Christmas movie.
Day Jesus. All right, what do you want on the sports side? We got NFL, we got Chiefs and Raiders, we got Chiefs specific, and we got Royal Editions.
Is the Chiefs one still out there about the receiving touchdowns?
Yes, it is. It is still out there. I will give that question again. Jerick McKinnon with 14 touchdown receptions in his Chiefs career. There are 6 other players who played at any point for Andy Reid in a Chiefs uniform and had at least 14 receiving touchdowns in their career with the Chiefs. Besides Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, name 2 of the other 4.
How about Mecole Hardman?
There's one of them. That's right.
Ding, ding.
He was mentioned by Andy Reid today.
Yep, that was a good hint. And then Jamal Charles.
Ding, ding. Jamal Charles, correct. And that's who I saw at the Super Bowl like 4 different times and kept running into each other. And he kept smiling and laughing because he's a nice guy. The other 2 Josh, you want to take a guess as to who the other two?
Well,
are?
when I actually understood the question, my answers felt less fun because I was on a real Jeremy Maclin kick, and I'm guessing he did not get there with the Chiefs.
He didn't have 14 receiving touchdowns in his Chiefs career, you dummy.
I know. That was really stupid of me. Is there a wide receiver who may have?
Okay, you don't.
Dwayne Bowe crossover enough?
Dwayne Bowe is
Thank
one of them.
God. Okay.
Dwayne Bowe is
That's
one of them.
probably
And then the last hint I gave was I got asked about this person on Sunday Sound Off.
I don't watch Sunday Sound Off when I'm not on it.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Cool.
D-Rob.
That's right, Demarcus Robinson. Look at that.
Really?
Yep. Demarcus Robinson, McCole Hardman, Jamal Charles, Dwayne Bowe, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Jerick McKinnon. There you go.
I'll put you on hold, Matt, while I ask
there you
Jason
go.
an important clarifying question, which is why did Demarcus Robinson come up on Sunday Sound Off?
Because it was a Time's Yours question, and it was one of the tweet questions that went to Mick Schaefer, which was, where would Demarcus Robinson rank in this wide receiver group if he was on the team right now? And I said second. I said he'd be the second best receiver right now on this Chiefs team.
God, I wish I could say you were wrong with any amount of confidence.
And here was my reasoning. Yeah, he was annoying when he ran backwards.
Yeah.
But he ran backwards with the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
He actually caught the ball. Even though he might have run backwards, he caught the ball. He was where he was supposed to be. And then after he caught it, he played keep away with the other team with the football. He wasn't a, here you go, you can take the football other team.
Right. It felt like he was playing with fire, but in retrospect, he was playing with like a flashlight. I mean, this year's been real fire.
Honestly, like it's been real fire for DeMarcus. He's got like 3 touchdowns in his last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Robinson does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he would be number 2.
That's wild.
Anyway, that's how he was brought up on Sunday Sound Off. Go right ahead. Who's next?
Next up, we got Shane. Shane, you're on 810. What's up, Shane?
Hey, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry
To you as
Christmas. Sports or leisure for you?
I'd like start with, let's just do like Chiefs Raiders.
Yeah, let's do that one. Okay. There's another fun question that I like, so I'm glad that somebody else asked Chiefs Raiders. Okay. Jimmy Garoppolo was the starting quarterback for the Raiders this year. He's not starting this week, but he was starting quarterback for the Chiefs this year. Or for the Raiders, sorry. Ooh, that'd be terrible. Good God. Whew. Erase that.
Dylan, mark that. Mark that, Dylan.
Scrub that from our memories, anything like that. There are 4 players on the Chiefs currently that were once teammates with Jimmy Garoppolo. Name 2. 4 players currently on the Chiefs, and Chiefs active roster too, so not like practice squad guys. Former teammates of Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo played for 2 different teams before the Raiders, so just as
I think I might have to.
So I've got one I think is right for sure, but the other one's going to be hard. Charles Omenihu.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
That is right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You got to think of players that have come to the Chiefs via free agency that were from either of the 2 teams of Jimmy G.
Oh, probably, I'm guessing, maybe a Patriots player, a former Patriots player, or...
Mm-hmm. There's 2 49ers and 1 Patriot.
Okay. And they're on the team right
on the team right now. Active. You know what? They played this past game.
Wow. Okay.
Yep, all 4 of these guys played, and all 4 of them are going to play on Monday.
Wait, so it's how many Niners, how many Patriots?
There are 2 more. There were 3 total
3
49ers,
total 49ers
and
okay.
1 Patriot. He got Charles Omenihu, who was a 49er. So there are 2 49ers and 1 Patriot, and I just need 1 more player.
Oh, I think I got it. Richie James?
Richie James.
Wow.
Nice job.
Holy
Richie
smokes.
James.
I was not going to get Richie James.
The Patriot, I thought, might have been the easier one. Joe Tooney.
Yeah. Tooney and Omenihu were the 2 that I had. Who's the other?
Jerick McKinnon, 49ers.
Oh, sure.
Yep. Richie James, Jerick McKinnon, Charles Omenihu, and Joe Tooney, all former teammates of Jimmy Garoppolo. On to leisure with Josh.
What category would you like?
I like the IMDb. I get one of those shows, please.
Let's do it. With their daughter Blair away in Peru, Luther and Nora decide to skip Christmas altogether until she decides to come home, causing an uproar when they have to celebrate at the last minute.
All those names of those characters sound familiar, but I cannot think of the name.
Yeah, I can't think of that either. Wow, I'm with you, Shane. I don't know. I'm lost as well.
So
give you some names again. If that helps.
Yeah.
You got
names.
What was the daughter's name? Blair?
Blair. The parents are Luther and Nora.
Okay.
They are played by the characters you would the actors. Their characters are the actors you would most certainly know.
Oh, see, I've never seen this movie. I've never seen this movie.
Yeah, that's famous mom and dad actors, right?
Yes.
I think here.
Oh.
I think. Yeah, I think I got a good guess.
God, I wish the daughter's name was Bailey. And not Blair.
I got a first cousin named Bailey. Does that count for anything?
It does.
It counts. It absolutely counts. Is it Bailey's Epi?
It's a female, so that's not proving your point. But it is proving your point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I cannot believe I didn't think of that.
Let's see.
Yeah, I wouldn't get it because I've never seen the movie.
I got to guess this because I can't think of anything else. It's Christmas with the Cranks.
That's absolutely correct.
See, and if I would have been told that Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis were the parents, then I would have guessed Christmas with the Cranks.
That's
because the Tim Allen Christmas movie that I've seen is obviously a Santa Claus, but I know that Christmas with the Cranks is one that I've never watched, and Tim Allen's in it. So I would have been able to get it by that, but not by the description IMDb. But it doesn't matter because Shane got both right, so he's heading to Johnny's Tavern, $25 heading your way. Nice job, Shane. We'll put you on hold. Congratulations, sir.
I already put him on hold, so he can't respond.
All right, very good. Good for you. Well, he just ghosted me.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
That was Ghost is a different movie.
That's a good point, and it was less of a Christmas movie. It was more of a scary one. So there you go. All right. Although they were making pottery for Christmas presents, is what I was told.
Oh, wow.
Who's next?
Well, let's take a timeout. We got a few left. We can try to go through a little lightning round at the end.
Fine. That's fine too. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and Josh promises lightning next.
Chiefs Raiders.
Chiefs Raiders for you. Okay, the last time the Chiefs played the Raiders on Christmas Day, they won 31-30. A kick was made with 28 seconds left in the game. Kendall Gammon snapped the ball, but what kicker made the winning kick?
Okay. So got no idea, but I'm going to go Cairo Santos.
What if I told you he played for the Giants and won a Super Bowl later on with the Giants after and people called him Larry, but that wasn't really his first name.
That doesn't help me.
Whoa!
Really? It's a city in Kansas where the KU Jayhawks play.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that. I'm saying the Giants reference did not help at all. But
okay, but this is a city in Kansas that the Jayhawks play.
Oh,
is his first name. Yep, Lawrence who?
Time.
There we go. All right,
go.
on to leisure.
All right, I'm gonna give you my Christmas pun name game here, JT. This former Oklahoma State quarterback will get another chance to lead his squad in the midst of a playoff hunt this weekend, but he may have to be a dancer in the pocket to avoid all the blitzing he'll face.
Say that again.
This former Oklahoma State quarterback will get another chance to lead his squad in the midst of a playoff hunt this weekend, but he may have to be a dancer in the pocket to avoid all the blitzing he'll face.
All right, so I don't keep up with Oklahoma State football, so I think I'm out.
He's a professional quarterback now. Okay, that's all right.
He said he was at. All right, let me guess. It's Mason Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer.
Bang! Jason, you're going to Johnny's Tavern. $25 just for you.
Any chance I could see Lebo and Dylan there?
Jason, I have incredible news.
What's that?
The incredible news I have is that you know the location they're going to be at later today.
I do. Does anybody else know?
I'm not going to win a gift card on this knowledge because I texted it to you earlier and I've since forgotten.
Oh, does Mom know? It's at Blue Springs.
1175 South 7 Highway. If you get there from 4 to 6 today, Jason, you can see Todd Lebo and Dylan Michaels at Johnny's Tavern, and you can walk up to them and you can say, Mason Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, and they'll give you a big hug.
They actually will. That is contractually obligated. It's part of it. It's in the copy points. We didn't want to read that part until we gave out the Mason Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer question. So there you go. Coming up tonight, we got a little Thursday night football for you with Rams and Saints. And then on ESPN KC, 7 o'clock, the Boca Raton Bowl, South Florida taking on the Fighting Petros. Syracuse in the house. Petro in the house. Coming up next. Talk to you tomorrow.